at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew of the British royal family, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. It relates to his time as trade envoy and the alleged sharing of confidential material with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He has not been charged and has long denied any wrongdoing. FSN's Ollie Barrett has more from London.
What police are further saying is that this is part of an investigation now, they confirm. The reason that is significant is that previously Thames Valley Police had simply said they were assessing claims that had been made to them about the potential of misconduct in a public office. They've now confirmed a formal investigation is underway and an arrest has been made. They say the arrest was made on suspicion of misconduct in public office, and they say they're also carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that President Trump's sweeping tariffs on global trading partners are illegal. In a 6-3 ruling, the court determined that the tariffs didn't have the proper authorization from Congress. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
This ruling is a tremendous blow for the US president and a rare rebuke of his presidential powers. 6 out of the 9 justices saying that they did not believe he had the legal authority to impose tariffs, instead saying that he must have congressional authorization to exercise this power. They said that he had tried to assert extraordinary power to unilaterally impose tariffs of unlimited amount, duration and scope. He has reacted by calling the ruling a disgrace, but also saying he has a backup plan. It is likely the White House will look for other ways to reimpose these tariffs using other means.
India joined the U.S.-led AI infrastructure initiative called Pax Silica, which is widely seen as a countermeasure to China's dominance over the supply of key materials used in the industry. It came as top U.S. companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google pledged to invest billions of dollars in India during an AI Impact Summit. FSN's Ishan Garg has more from New Delhi.
India joined the Pax Silica initiative on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit, ending speculation over whether trade tensions were getting in the way of broader cooperation between Washington and New Delhi. According to the US State Department, Pax Silica is aimed at bringing friendly countries together to reduce what it calls coercive dependencies. The initiative was launched in December last year with countries including the UK, Australia, South Korea and the UAE as its first few members. With India pitching itself as a key AI power during the AI summit, analysts say the move not only highlights New Delhi's role on a global stage, but also signals thaw in US-India ties. Ishan Garg, New Delhi.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN. 11 people were arrested in France over the recent killing of a far-right activist. Quentin Duranc died after sustaining a severe brain injury when he was attacked on the sidelines of a far-right protest against a left-wing politician speaking in the city of Lyon. FSN's Ross Cullen reports from Paris.
The 23-year-old was part of a group providing security for nationalist activists who were demonstrating against the leftist gathering at a university in France's third biggest city of Lyon. Video footage of the attack on the 12th of February shows a group of people setting upon Quentin Duranc, who's kicked multiple times before being left lying on the sidewalk while those involved in the attack fled on foot. The incident has fueled tension between France's far right and hard left ahead of local elections in March and next year's presidential race, in which the Nationalist Party is currently leading the polls. Ross Cullen, Paris.
U.S. civil rights icon, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, died at the age of 84. He was one of America's most influential black figures and twice ran for president. FSN's Tony Waterman has more.
He was this towering figure. He was a protege of Martin Luther King Jr. He was there when King was assassinated in 1968. He was, in fact, very close to him when that happened physically, just a couple of feet away. But he is really seen as carrying on the fight for Black Americans. He transformed American politics, particularly the Democratic Party, by empowering these marginalized communities through his coalition, getting millions and millions of Black, Latino, and Asian Americans to register to vote and completely reshaping the face of the Democratic Party.
Those were some of the week's top stories. Ira Spitzer.
It seems like we're constantly hearing different fitness advice. Exercise 2 to 3 times a week for at least 30 minutes a day. And don't forget cardio. But don't exercise too much or you'll get hurt. So, how much exercise should you be getting? Well, actually not that much, since the human body is only built to withstand walking a short distance before lying or sitting down again. In fact, a group of biologists from Stanford found that walking more than 5 feet at a time can cause joint pain, fatigue, and even extreme hunger. The study concluded that the maximum effort the human body can safely endure is reaching for an item high on a shelf. Our bodies simply aren't built to stand up and move around. So maybe those high-intensity spin classes and daily jogs aren't such a good idea. Instead of walking up the stairs every day, try taking the elevator whenever possible. You can even use a fitness tracker to let you know when you've been exerting too much energy. Your body will appreciate it. For The Onion, I'm Jill Hooper.
This is the Onion News Network.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. It's talk radio you control. You can get your thoughts and ideas on the air by calling 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, you have Stu.
And Riley O'Bill. Could I get some volume on my headphones, producers?
Yeah, you bet. How's everything going, Riley?
Everything's going pretty good so far. Volume's sounding good. Thank you, producers. Actually, it's just Stu and I right now, so no producers really. But everything's going good. I've had a good week. It was nice and relaxing. Not too much drama that I can recall. But, that can change during a show. Life comes at you fast. So
for a guy who does his best to consume no news, all I know about is that Jesse Jackson died.
Yep, Reverend Jesse Hyde Jackson, as wrestling buddies used to like to call him.
And so all I can think about whenever I hear his name is the South Park episode where Stan's dad has to apologize to him. And if you know what I'm talking about, you're probably laughing right now because that was quite funny. Otherwise, I don't really know a lot about the guy. I don't think he was I don't think he was the hero that a lot of people paint him to be.
I don't know much about him either, and I'm not really willing to pass judgment, but, he's, from what I know, he seemed like kind of a leftist sort of.
Yeah, kind of a go along to get along sort of attitude about things, and yeah. Yep. Okay, so that's enough of that.
Maybe a pseudo-Christian, who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really not that well studied on that.
I'm not either.
One thing that came to my attention via Ernie Hancock's podcast, which is called Declare Your Independence, and it's a good show. He interviewed a gentleman named Jobe Weeks, or he goes by Jobe. And Jobe got harassed and detained by law enforcement officials who demanded that he turn over the private keys to all his Bitcoin and a whole bunch of other things, threw him in a cage, kidnapped him, wouldn't let him call his family.
Why would they demand that he should turn over the private keys to his wallets?
Because he had a lot of Bitcoin.
Is that the only reason, though?
A lot of dollar value in Bitcoin.
Okay.
And they wanted it. Apparently, that seems to be the only reason, because they've had him on house arrest with an ankle monitor for 6 years now, and don't seem to be doing a whole lot. He hired some very expensive lawyers that wanted him to take a plea deal, and he said that's not good enough, and they said that's all we got. And he said then you're fired. So now he's hoping he can get some public attention on this thing, and he's gone ahead and filed criminal complaints against some of the judges and lawyers involved in this, because I have no doubt that many of them are acting illegally. That's kind of how this thing operates, and they get lazy because nobody ever calls them on their illegal actions. But there's a whole list of things that your average judge or prosecutor might be doing that's totally against the law.
Sure, and there are definitely corrupt judges and corrupt lawyers in the system.
Mm-hmm. We all, or most everybody knows about law enforcement acting criminally from time to time, or maybe more often than not, depending on how you look at it. But for some reason, people just can't get past the mental hurdle of your judge might be criminal as well. He might be acting criminally right now in your simple traffic case or whatever it is.
Well, it just goes to show that a lot of people depend on the system to protect them, but as we both know, the Supreme Court has ruled time and time again that the police are not obligated to protect you, and people forget that. So they assume that the police are going to be there to protect them when it matters most, but in reality, they're just there to protect the bottom line, which is the government.
Yeah, kind of a sad state of affairs. So he's got a petition. I believe it's a change.org petition. It might help if you sign that. Somebody set up a fundraiser at one of these fundraising sites, but I don't think he's too concerned about that. He just he wants some attention on this thing, and he's tired of being locked in his house. He'd like to go somewhere. He's kind of a thrill seeker, so that's sort of his thing. And I don't know. If you look him up, there will be plenty you can find that's negative against him, but most of us who have friends who have been framed this way are no strangers to the concept of them just making stuff up on the spot or blowing things out of proportion or things out of context.
What are the negative things that are said about him? Do you know?
They said he failed a cocaine test. Oh no, not cocaine. But he says he wasn't doing cocaine, and that he provided a hair sample. He paid a private lab to test his hair sample to show that he wasn't on cocaine, and that's, I believe, one of the criminal charges that he's throwing at them. So they're falsifying evidence.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Another thing, a lot of it has to do with he made his money through multi-level marketing things. It's hard not to say the word scam after that. It just flows naturally, right?
Oh yeah, multi-level marketing is definitely a scam. It's something I'm not a fan of.
They're scammy anywhere from extremely scammy to this is fair enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think he was in one of the ones that was kind of fair enough, because a lot of it had to do with, the increasing price of Bitcoin and stuff like that. And what it had to do with was, I think, mining hash rate in Iceland, right? So it was part of a mining, like a mining pool kind of thing early on. So a lot of people made a lot of money off of, what he signed them up for. And I don't know, I think they got upset at him because he was showing people, he was very vocal about the fact that Bitcoin allowed him to do whatever he wanted. He went to the South Pole and he's like, hey, government scientists, open up. I'm here. I'm a taxpayer and I want in. I want to look around, see what's down here. And he was, he was all over the place making videos and just showing people what it's like to live free outside of the banking system and outside of governmental controls. And I think that's why they landed the hammer on him.
Interesting. I don't know enough about this guy to know if he's a good guy, a bad guy. But if what you're saying is true, then he definitely doesn't deserve to be in prison for having a ton of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Well, even if he was even if the worst case scenario is true and that he's a kind of a drug crazed scam artist, let's say that. If that's true, still, what business do they have keeping him on house arrest and not, like what happened to speedy trial kind of a thing? They just keep him in his house for 6 years. He gets to hang out in his house on an ankle monitor.
Yeah.
So they've given themselves 33 continuances. I guess he's the recent criminal filings that he's put in have been causing a wave of lawyers to come in, read the document, decide that they incriminate themselves if they go forward, and so they have to quit right there on the spot. And then new set comes in, reads the paper, and they quit. And so the government has failed to just drop the whole thing, which is what they should have done quite some time ago.
Yeah.
Because they seem to be waffling hard on this one.
These are the government lawyers that are quitting, or his lawyers that are quitting?
Yeah, the government lawyers. I think he's now without any lawyers.
Okay.
He's doing this on his own, which is what I recommend. Lawyers are not there to help you. They're not on your team.
I don't know enough about a courtroom
how much you pay them
and proceedings to go without lawyers, so I would probably ask a lawyer for help or something just to get through the system.
Yeah, I guess they could be useful in that they know when to say what and how to, file a motion and whatever, but keep them in your back pocket and don't let them run the show.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think that covers pretty much all I wanted to say about Jobe Weeks. Just wanted to bring some attention to that, and if you feel like going to sign the petition, then I'm sure he would be very appreciative.
We definitely have a lot of crypto prisoners out there, like Ian Freeman, Jobe Weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that Trump's alleged ending of the crypto war wasn't really an ending. He just wanted his guys in power and his guys on the front line so he could be front and center looking at crypto and pretending to love it while in fact wanting to, use stolen crypto to hoist his government and hoist his powerful people into power and make it look good on him for being willing to end the crypto war, but he's really not ending the crypto war at all. He's just being a scumbag. But then again, Trump is a scumbag, so there's that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be all crypto freedom under Trump, but you see about what we get. You're gonna get CBDC in the form of stable coins,
something like that.
Yeah, well, it's been going this way for a long time. They keep driving it in a more centralized sort of fashion. Nobody seems to care. They're mostly concerned about whether number go up or number go down, which right now I guess it's kind of down.
Yep, I think Bitcoin was last around like $70,000, I want to say.
It sounds so strange to say Bitcoin's down to 70,000.
I know. Like, I remember when Bitcoin was like $200-300 a Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Wish I could have held on to some more, but
I know all of this too. But we know, we make life choices and family things come up, and
sure,
life throws things at us, and we just let the Bitcoin go.
Yep. Let's see here. Riley suggested this story. I found a story from AP that is ChatGPT maker OpenAI considered alerting Canadian police about school shooting suspect months ago. In Toronto, ChatGPT maker OpenAI said Friday it considered last year alerting Canadian police about the activities of a person who months later committed one of the worst school shootings in the country's history. OpenAI said last June the company identified the count of Jesse Van Roostelar by abuse detection efforts for furtherance of violent activities. The San Francisco tech company said it considered whether to refer the account to Royal Canadian Mounted Police, but determined at the time that the account activity did not meet a threshold for referral to law enforcement. OpenAI banned the account in June 2025 for violating its usage policy. The 18-year-old killed 8 people in a remote part of British Columbia last week and died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, allegedly. according to the story. OpenAI said the threshold for referring a user to law enforcement is whether the case involves an imminent and credible risk of serious physical harm to others. The company said it did not identify credible or imminent planning. The Wall Street Journal first reported OpenAI's revelation. OpenAI said that after learning of the school shooting, employees reached out to the RCMP with information on the individual and their use of ChatGPT. Our thoughts are with everyone affected by the Tumbler Ridge tragedy. We proactively reached out to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police with information on the individual and their use of ChatGPT, and will continue to support their investigation, an OpenAI spokesperson said. RCMP Staff Sergeant Chris Clark confirmed in an email statement Friday that OpenAI contacted police after the shootings. Clark said a thorough review of the content on electronic devices as well as social media and online activities of the shooter is taking place. He said digital and physical evidence is being collected, prioritized, and methodically processed. The RCMP said the shooter first killed her mother and stepbrother at the family home before attacking the nearby school. The shooter had a history of mental health contacts with police. The motive for the shooting remains unclear. The town of 2,700 people in the Canadian Rockies is more than 1,000 kilometers, 600 miles northeast of Vancouver, near the provincial border with Alberta. Police said the victims included a 39-year-old teaching assistant and 5 students ages 12 to 13. The attack was Canada's deadliest rampage since 2020, when a gunman in Nova Scotia killed 13 people and set fires that left another 9 dead. And that's how the article ends.
So it seems to me that there are a couple takeaways from this article. Number one, your chats are being monitored somehow by employees of ChatGPT or whatever AI company you might be using. So
yes, it's the pre-crime aspect of this story that stands out to me.
Yeah,
this sounds like a setup, a Hegelian dialectic setup, where they're like, "Oh, look, this thing could have told us about that, and now, so now we need to do this all the time." And then pretty soon he got pre-crime, just like in what was that movie with Tom Cruise? I didn't watch it.
I couldn't tell you. Minority Report?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
It was all about pre-crime, and they decided he was a detective, right? And the thing decided that he was going to murder someone, and he's like, "Oh, that can't be true, but it has to, because the thing is never wrong." And so he's like, I don't know, that's what the movie's about, but anyways, this is what it's going to be, is you'll be sitting there not really doing much. Your search history will trigger something weird in the AI algorithm, and a team of thuggish goons will show up and break your door down and throw you in a van because of, in 6 months from now, you're going to do something horrific, and you had no such thoughts of doing anything like that.
Or you might be searching health queries like, "Oh, I might have some health issues that I'm concerned about," and they might alert a doctor, and the doctor is gonna be like, "We gotta medicate this guy or prescribe things or do things beyond our scope, beyond against his will right now to prevent him from getting sick." I mean, that could look really good on the surface, but like you said, criminal activity could be detected with AI, and it may not be criminal activity at all. It may be just an innocent question to ChatGPT or just an innocent scenario.
Yeah, if you it seems a bad idea to leave security up to an AI program. Just my opinion. So many things could go wrong with that.
I hear you. But, we live in a day and age where people want the AI to solve their problems, or it's easy to use AI to come up with things to help you on your journey of career or whatever. But the reality is we're going to use it too much, and it's going to get problematic because we won't be able to think for ourselves, be creative for ourselves. But I see AI as a tool to help benefit us if we use it wisely. And we all know that once smartphones came into our hands, that we're all addicted to these things.
Yep.
And so we're not wise people on the whole.
Yeah. Maybe people should put their devices down and go into the wilderness for a week. I don't know if that would help anything.
I don't know if it would either, but, you know, being in the wilderness for a week sounds really, really daunting to me, but I'm sure I'd benefit from it.
Yeah, you have a couple of friends who know what they're doing. I think you'll be fine. I know I feel better the longer I can leave my phone alone. It feels like it separates me from reality to some degree.
Yeah.
A pretty small degree, granted. Nothing like what I imagine some of the VR sets are like now. I imagine those detach you from reality almost as strongly as like ketamine or something maybe. But I haven't tried any of those. I'm not really interested.
You're not really interested in ketamine or AR or virtual reality sets?
Yeah, neither one.
Okay. I'm not interested in either one either.
I like nature and I like real things.
Yeah, I hear you.
So there's that. What else is going on? I guess Trump's going and tariffing things again. Isn't a tariff just like when they put sanctions on another country? Isn't tariffs just putting sanctions on yourself?
Kind of. I think a tariff is basically a tax in the sense that if let's say that I'm selling a good to Scotland or the UK, and Scotland is going to make me pay a fee so I could sell that good in Scotland. And the US is doing the same thing where they're saying, oh, if you want to sell a good here, you got to pay a fee for it. And that fee is then given and passed on to the consumer so that they can pay for the good and thus bring up the price of the good. Now, the Supreme Court yesterday ruled that Trump's tariffs were unconstitutional. He got upset and said, well, I'm going to do a tariff, a 15% tariff globally across the board. So Trump's just throwing a fit. That's what Trump does.
Okay. Well, it seems like the rest of the world is not playing his game so much. So we'll see how this goes for him.
Originally it was 10%. Now I think it's been updated to 15%. So
that's what looks like in the latest updates, or says that he raised it to 15 from 10.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what that actually looks like. Is things are just 15% more expensive, right?
Yep, pretty much.
So
we have inflation eating us. We have taxes eating us, and tariffs eating us. It's like, dude, when are people going to realize that government is your enemy and they don't care about you, the consumer? They want to enslave you, so they think. So you think, oh, the government's my savior. Please save me, government, from the big bad bullies. But no, the big bad bully is the government. They're stealing your lunch money, and you don't seem to care about it.
Yeah, they're definitely not coming to save you. They do not care at all about you. They'd rather that if you're not going to further their agenda in some way, that you just be dead. And they've provided plenty of ways for that to happen as well.
Right.
Yeah, so many counts on which you can just look and see clearly that they don't care at all for your health or your well-being or your mental stability, any of that. And in fact, they'd rather you not have any of those things in any kind of order inside of your life. They'd rather have you chaotic and running all the time, so that you don't even have time to sit down and think about what they're doing to you.
I know. It's terrible.
Sure is. Give us a call. Let us know how you deal with the runaround that we get from Big Brother. Phone number here is 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
phone records, financial and location data, Prism, Tempora, Xkeyscore, Boundless Informant. Hey, y'all, Scott Horton here for offnow.org. Now, here's the deal. Due to the Snowden revelations, we have a great opportunity for a short period of time to get some real rollback of the national surveillance state. Now, they're already trying to tire us by introducing fake reforms in the Congress. And the courts, they betrayed their sworn oaths to the Constitution and Bill of Rights again and again, and can in no way be trusted to stop the abuses for us. We've got to do it ourselves. How? We nullify it at the state level. It's still not easy. The Off Now project of the 10th Amendment Center has gotten off to a great start. I mean it. There's real reason to be optimistic here. They've gotten their model legislation introduced all over the place, in state after state. I've lost count, more than a dozen. You're always wondering, yeah, but what can we do? Here's something important, something that can work if we do the work. Get started cutting off the NSA support in your state. Go to offnow.org.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew of the British royal family, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. It relates to his time as trade envoy and the alleged sharing of confidential material with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He has not been charged and has long denied any wrongdoing. FSN's Ollie Barrett has more from London.
What police are further saying is that this is part of an investigation now, they confirm. The reason that is significant is that previously Thames Valley Police had simply said they were assessing claims that had been made to them about the potential of misconduct in a public office. They've now confirmed a formal investigation is underway and an arrest has been made. They say the arrest was made on suspicion of misconduct in public office, and they say they're also carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that President Trump's sweeping tariffs on global trading partners are illegal. In a 6-3 ruling, the court determined that the tariffs didn't have the proper authorization from Congress. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
This ruling is a tremendous blow for the US president and a rare rebuke of his presidential powers. 6 out of the 9 justices saying that they did not believe he had the legal authority to impose tariffs, instead saying that he must have congressional authorization. They said that he had tried to assert extraordinary power to unilaterally impose tariffs of unlimited amount, duration and scope. He has reacted by calling the ruling a disgrace, but also saying he has a backup plan. It is likely the White House will look for other ways to reimpose these tariffs.
India joined the U.S.-led AI infrastructure initiative called Pax Silica, which is widely seen as a countermeasure to China's dominance over the supply of key materials used in the industry. It came as top U.S. companies pledged to invest billions of dollars in India during an AI Impact Summit. FSN's Ishan Garg has more from New Delhi.
India joined the Pax Silica initiative on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit, ending speculation over whether trade tensions were getting in the way of broader cooperation between Washington and New Delhi. According to the US State Department, Pax Silica is aimed at bringing friendly countries together to reduce what it calls coercive dependencies. The initiative was launched in December last year, with countries including the UK, Australia, South Korea and the UAE as its first few members. With India pitching itself as a key AI power during the AI summit, analysts say the move not only highlights New Delhi's role on a global stage, but also signals thaw in US-India ties.
From Bureaus Worldwide,
you can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live. Talk radio you control. And you can call and let us know what you're thinking about. The phone number here is 603-283-6160. Are you tired of the oppressive rules and moderation of the big tech social media sites? Our Mastodon server at social.freetalklive.com can set you free. Mastodon is free, open source, decentralized, and federated. Multiple apps are available for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, and Linux. social.freetalklive.com. In the studio tonight, it's Stu.
Riley O'Bill.
We were talking about Trump and his tariffs.
Yep, and him throwing a fit and doing a 15% tariff globally after the Supreme Court set up.
Tantrums. Let's read about this a little bit. I haven't caught any WWE for a little while.
All right, let's hear about it.
This from AP News.
A reputable news source, by the way.
Reputable if you like government propaganda. The Supreme Court struck down President Donald Trump's far-reaching global tariffs in a 6-3 decision on Friday, handing him a stinging loss on an issue crucial to his economic agenda. Doesn't this read almost like a WWE thing?
Oh, yeah.
Stinging loss.
Yep.
Crucial agenda. Furious about the defeat, the president lashed out at the Supreme Court for striking down much of his sweeping tariff infrastructure as an illegal use of emergency power. Trump said he was absolutely ashamed of justices who voted to strike down his tariffs and called the ruling deeply disappointing.
Of course he would be ashamed.
The president said on social media Friday night that he signed an executive order enabling him to bypass Congress and impose a 10% tax on imports around the world. The new tariffs would come under a law that restricts them to 150 days.
So it sounds like this Trump guy is going to be like, oh, well, I get to bypass Congress to do tariffs whenever I want. All because I'm upset.
Yeah, it sounds like he's trying to be the king that he got accused of being.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
he definitely likes
keep going,
wielding his power around like a, I don't know, like what kind of psychopath do people want ruling over them that will bypass Congress, bypass the Supreme Court, and say, well, I'm going to do what I want anyway? It seems like all governments, it seems like all these people and these so-called leaders have to do is declare it's an emergency and they get whatever power they want to bypass the Congress. But no, it shouldn't be that way. The executive power should not be this prevalent. The executive branch, ladies and gentlemen, should be checked and balanced like everything else in government. And if you don't like the Supreme Court's ruling yesterday, then maybe you should look at yourself and realize that you're dumb. Dumb enough to believe that there are people that have the right to rule you, which they don't.
You know, what is the, I forgot, was it George Carlin or one of those guys said, think about how stupid the average person is, and they realize the half of them are dumber than that.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm smart either. I'm just suggesting that, you know, I'm trying to be a little more alert and aware of, hey, these people that claim the right to rule me are just people with titles.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that people are still holding up this WWE show like it's really like they have any, you know. I guess I kind of get it, the sports fanatic thing where you cheer for the home team and you wear the jersey and you don't miss any games, and like I guess I kind of get it. There's like a camaraderie going on there.
Oh yeah.
But that's even a little ridiculous because like you don't actually feel a camaraderie with the entirety of New England over the Patriots team. You know, like nobody actually does. And so it's false, right? And it's even more false when you find yourself in a group of, you know, that calls itself MAGA, which is about one of the most Barnum statements I've ever heard. If you don't know what that is, go watch Barnum World. You can find it for free. It's an excellent film.
Okay.
It'll show you how things are run. Anyways, it is ridiculous. I keep hoping that people would just stop allowing it. All it takes is a little courage and stand up for yourself.
I don't think a lot of people
realize you
want
own
that.
yourself.
I don't think a lot of people will actually do that because they want to believe so wholeheartedly in the system. Like, for example, you know, people have this idea that America is built on this idea, which is that, you know, freedom's going to reign, liberty and justice for all. But we all know how that worked out. There wasn't liberty and justice for the blacks. There wasn't liberty and justice for the Native Americans until slavery ended, pretty much. But even then, the Native Americans were pushed onto reservation, then enslaved by government money.
Mm-hmm.
And is America really free? Well, compared to Venezuela, yeah, it's a free nation. Was America built on Christian principles? Not really. I mean, definitely there were a lot of Christian people in the government at the time, but it's not entirely built on Christian principles. So, I don't know. I think believing in a system so religiously and vociferously by claiming that this is God's promised land and we got to keep preserving freedom by keeping America going, to me, it's a losing battle. Let's stop having people rule over less. Learn to govern yourself. Learn to let your neighbors be neighbors. And if they harm your property, okay, deal with that. But at the same time, it's like, well, people want people in D.C. to rule over somebody else. And it's pretty sad.
I wonder how much of this that you were just describing as far as Christian values, freedom and liberty for all of that kind of stuff. I wonder how much of that was just added later to the history books and said, oh, this is what it was all about. And everybody at the time totally agreed.
Oh, I'm sure it was. I'm sure a lot of it.
It may not have had
definitely in the 50s.
Most colonists, I bet, at the time had no idea what was going on as far as a revolution. They just knew there was like heightened activities between rebels and the redcoats, right? Yeah. And I don't think they had any idea, and they didn't know when the Constitution was being signed because that was done basically in secret. They just like snuck off to do it, and like the Federal Reserve thing is kind of a more modern example that we can look at. They did it on Christmas so that nobody knew what was going on. It had already been shot down. They just renamed it and then passed it when no one was looking. I wonder how much of that is exactly how it's gone for all of history. I wonder if it was never about freedom and liberty and they just said it was and got people to believe it, kind of a thing.
I'm sure a lot of it was propaganda that came about in the 1800s to keep America going. And a lot of it was also done in the 1900s, especially the 1950s, during the Cold War, because that's when Under God was added into the Pledge of Allegiance. That's when it was added to the money to unite Americans around this idea that we believe in God and the godless communists do not, which is understandable for the time. But at the same time, it's still propaganda.
It does seem that there was that a belief in God was kind of thematic to the construction of America, but it certainly wasn't built on Christian values. Most of those guys were deists or something else, not Christians, which is fine because Christianity is a big mess anyways. It's a hodgepodge of, like maybe something close to the original Christianity mixed in with a tiny bit of Islam and a whole bunch of paganism.
Yeah.
So
I wonder what original Christianity really, really looked like.
Me too. That would be fascinating to know. I'm sure it might be an undiscoverable thing at this point, completely lost to history.
Yeah, well, Mormons claim that they have the original Christianity.
But... Oh, I could. Yeah, we could spend the rest of the night talking about how that's not true. But this is not.
Well, they do have apostles and prophets, and in my mind, if you're going to have a church, it might as well have some sort of authority structure. But whether it's original Christianity, I don't know. I have no real way of knowing because, the Bible we have now is like, let's think of the Gospels, for instance. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These texts were written between 70 and 90 AD, I want to say. Earliest. Like the Gospel of Mark came first, and it was written pretty early on, like 70 AD or so.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I could be completely wrong on this. I'm just a talk show host here. I could be completely wrong, so if you have any
Right. The point is, though, all these writings came after.
Right, and they're not contemporary to Jesus. They're not really eyewitness accounts.
Not only did they come after, but then they were also like assembled and edited later by the Pharisees. Is that right?
I wouldn't say the Pharisees, but definitely some other groups definitely edited them. I'm pretty sure the Catholic Church had a huge hand in preparing the texts for publication and editing them here and there. So to claim the Bible is original, to me, is just absurd. To claim it's the infallible word of God is also absurd. But I will say this. I think the Bible has some good things we can learn from it.
Absolutely.
And, our civilization, whether we like it or not, Stu, was based on biblical ideas. And I think we can really look at... I think we should really search this text and look at it and see what we can learn from it, rather than saying, oh, well, it's all corrupt, we should dismiss it. I think there are definitely things we can learn from it.
No, I agree with that. And it's not... I disagree wholeheartedly that that's what it was founded on. And so if you look historically at the ancient mystery traditions, there are many examples of a spiritual guru or leader or chosen one, born of a virgin, lived for a certain amount of years, died and came back to life, right? Basically, the Jesus story repeats out in at least 7 different cultures under some different name with slightly different details and stuff. All this is it's a rehash of spiritual teachings that were meant to keep a society in line, mixed in with astrological things. So like the Son of God that's a metaphor for the sun that's in the sky.
Yep.
And that goes on and on, right? So a lot of this it's spiritual teachings that they just keep trying to repackage in order to get, either for people to behave right. That was the original intention, right? But then somebody comes along and gets in charge of the thing, and they just use it to line their pockets with silver coins or whatever.
Pretty much, and they use it to make money or to have real estate holdings so they can sell it later.
Or to engineer a society in such a way that it's very obedient or whatever their agenda is.
Yeah.
So it always gets hijacked. And I think the aim of religion was a noble one, and that I wish it could have succeeded, but so far it seems to have failed in its aim at giving people a celebration of treating each other decently, right? Which is what it really comes down to.
Sure, and it's really supposed to be designed to, hey, you got to take care of the poor, the fatherless, the widows, rather than, hey, you're not wearing your certain clothing right, or you're drinking a certain beverage that we prohibited. You don't believe in the Trinity, or you believe in the Trinity, or you don't believe in transubstantiation, or you believe in transubstantiation. It's just become a religious war of who has the biggest Christianity, who has the best Christianity. We are the one true Christians.
Yeah,
it's just become absurd to me.
Yeah, that was some of the stuff the Mormons used to say that made me most uncomfortable back when I was a believing Mormon. Is all that about the great and abominable church and them being the chosen ones, and that and they had this like special little place in their heart for God's other chosen people, which were the Jews. And there's a whole lot of discomfort going on in those subjects in the Mormon church.
Well, I know that a lot of early members of the church either interpreted the quote unquote great but abominable church as Catholicism, which other Christian groups also do, or they interpreted it as Christianity as a whole. But nowadays I've seen them walk back that statement quite a bit to interpreting people to say that, oh, it's people who are teaching you not to follow Christ or who go against God. So definitely walking that back. And what Mormons call the great apostasy, which is just, apostasy is rebellion against God and rebellion against his kingdom. Well, they claim it happened after the last apostle died or disappeared or whatever happened. And the early church wasn't kept together with its authority, and so...
Yeah, people weren't good enough to have God's church on earth, and so he took it away from them.
Yeah, and this time,
he gave it back to Joseph Smith.
Yeah, he gave it back to Joseph Smith, and this time it's going to be around forever, and keep your eye on the prophet. The prophet will never be led astray. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Every offshoot of Mormonism has its leader that claims the same thing, that God will never lead me astray. Warren Jeffs, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Kingston of the Kingston clan in northern Utah. Same thing. So... it's just a story. It's just a story so you can fall in line with the leader.
Yeah.
And they take your money and claim that God needs the money. It's not for us. God needs it.
Well, yeah, because, God's got bills to pay.
Yeah.
God must owe a lot of people a lot of money. All right. I got one here kind of along the crypto lines. This is from Activist Post.
A lot more reputable than most news sources.
Mm-hmm. This is fugitive foreigner sentenced in the U.S. to 20 years for $73 million crypto scam. A judge sentenced Darren Lee to 20 years for a $73 million crypto fraud. The scam used Cambodia-based compounds to target victims via social media and dating apps. All right. Here we go. The story starts here. A federal judge in California sentenced in absentia a dual national of China and St. Kitts and Nevis to 20 years in prison for his role in a $73 million international crypto scam. Darren Lee, who was a fugitive after removing an ankle electronic monitoring device in December, was also handed 3 years of supervised release for his role in an international cryptocurrency investment conspiracy carried out from scam centers in Cambodia, according to a court statement on Monday. Cambodia has become a hub for pig butchering crypto scams, generating over $30 million daily via forced labor compounds, according to a TRM Labs report. A separate TRM report revealed how over $96 billion in crypto has flowed to Cambodia-linked companies since 2021, used heavily for money laundering and fraud. As part of an international cryptocurrency investment scam, Darren Lee and his co-conspirators laundered over $73 million stolen from American victims. Assistant Attorney General A. Tyson Duva of the Justice Department's Criminal Division said in the statement. Duva said the court's criminal division is working with global law enforcement officials to find, detain, and return Lee to the U.S. to serve his entire sentence. Lee pleaded guilty on November 12, 2024 in the Central District of California to conspiring with others to launder funds obtained from victims through crypto scams and related fraud. As part of his plea agreement, Lee said he and his cronies would contact victims directly through unsolicited social media interactions, telephone calls and messages, and online dating services. Their tactics entailed gaining victims' trust by establishing professional or romantic relationships with them, then luring them into using spoof platforms to appear to invest in crypto. In other instances, the group posed as tech support staff and induced victims to send funds via wire transfer or cryptocurrency trading platforms to purportedly remediate a non-existent virus or other false computer-related problem. Social engineering scams such as fake investment offers and impersonation tactics were the leading threat to crypto users, accounting for losses in the billions of dollars and representing nearly 41% of all crypto security incidents in 2025. That's where the article ends.
Huh.
So, yep, there's another guy, probably never was in America, just scamming Americans, and the U.S. decides they can go ahead and lock him up, but he cut his ankle monitor off and ran away. I guess they're still looking for him too, so this shows you like they're not all knowing and all seeing. You can actually fly under the radar if you really feel like you want to run away.
You definitely can, and some people will. And, it just goes to show that I think Ian Freeman is innocent and is not a criminal the way people portray him. But there are also definitely criminals and people like, the guy referenced in this article that we just read that are criminals and definitely should be put in a cage. However, I don't know if it's the U.S. government that should be prosecuting everybody they think they should prosecute.
Right. Definitely. And, this kind of fraud, while I definitely don't condone it, it's one of the least, one of the types of, what libertarians would call aggression. It's one of the least offensive forms, in my opinion, because just don't get fooled. Like, these things are not that sophisticated usually. They'll say this is a very sophisticated operation, but like what it looks like is a text message from some random number that you've never seen, and it's like, hey, I'm a 23-year-old college student looking for whatever, and like, it's total bait. And I don't know why anybody falls for this stuff, but apparently billions of dollars get funneled out that way. And in the opinion of, some people like John McAfee, they'd say, good. Those people deserve to get robbed. They paid to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I go that far with it. It's still fraud. It's still wrong. But at the same time, like, nobody's tricked me into giving any of my crypto to them ever. I've only ever sent it where I wanted to. One time I tried to send a 0 sat transaction fee transaction to see where it would go, and I still to this day don't know where that is. It was in BCH though, so I think, I don't know, I think it was in BCH in 2017. The price was like above 1,000, so
yeah,
I've never really been all that worried about it. But otherwise, I've never been scammed out of my crypto or anything else, really.
I don't think I've ever been scammed out of my crypto either, that I can recall.
And there's been times where it's like almost close, but you hit a couple of checkpoints before you actually send the crypto, or a red flag comes up, and you're like, hey, something doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
And one time I got a message from, one of the co-hosts on the show, and it was like, hey, I need some crypto. And I entertained it for about, 5 or 6 interactions back and forth until I figured out that somebody just spoofed an account to look like this other one, and it was totally not even the person that I thought I was talking to. I was like, oh, I see. Nice try, though. And, they didn't get anything out of me.
Yeah.
Which is the way it should go 99.9% of the time with these things, because they're just not that clever. Have a little self-awareness.
Right, and if it seems too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. If some girl says, oh, I'm so interested in you, and blah, 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 and it's so early on. And
right, your first question should be, how did you get my number?
Yeah. Who are you? What do you want?
People don't even go to that step.
No.
Give us a call. Let us know. Have you ever fallen for a crypto scam? What do you think of these? Phone number here is 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew of the British royal family, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. It relates to his time as trade envoy and the alleged sharing of confidential material with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He has not been charged and has long denied any wrongdoing. FSN's Ollie Barrett has more from London.
What police are further saying is that this is part of an investigation now, they confirm. The reason that is significant is that previously Thames Valley Police had simply said they were assessing claims that had been made to them about the potential of misconduct in a public office. They've now confirmed a formal investigation is underway and an arrest has been made. They say the arrest was made on suspicion of misconduct in public office, and they say they're also carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that President Trump's sweeping tariffs on global trading partners are illegal. In a 6-3 ruling, the court determined that the tariffs didn't have the proper authorization from Congress. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
This ruling is a tremendous blow for the US president and a rare rebuke of his presidential powers. 6 out of the 9 justices saying that they did not believe he had the legal authority to impose tariffs, instead saying that he must have congressional authorization to exercise this power. They said that he had tried to assert extraordinary power to unilaterally impose tariffs of unlimited amount, duration and scope. He has reacted by calling the ruling a disgrace, but also saying he has a backup plan. It is likely the White House will look for other ways to reimpose these tariffs using other means.
India joined the U.S.-led AI infrastructure initiative called Pax Silica, which is widely seen as a countermeasure to China's dominance over the supply of key materials used in the industry. It came as top U.S. companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google pledged to invest billions of dollars in India during an AI Impact Summit. FSN's Ishan Garg has more from New Delhi.
India joined the Pax Silica initiative on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit, ending speculation over whether trade tensions were getting in the way of broader cooperation between Washington and New Delhi. According to the U.S. State Department, Pax Silica is aimed at bringing friendly countries together to reduce what it calls coercive dependencies. The initiative was launched in December last year with countries including the UK, Australia, South Korea and the UAE as its first few members. With India pitching itself as a key AI power during the AI summit, analysts say the move not only highlights New Delhi's role on a global stage, but also signals thaw in US-India ties. Ishan Garg, New Delhi.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN. 11 people were arrested in France over the recent killing of a far-right activist. Quentin Duranc died after sustaining a severe brain injury when he was attacked on the sidelines of a far-right protest against a left-wing politician speaking in the city of Lyon. FSN's Ross Cullen reports from Paris.
The 23-year-old was part of a group providing security for nationalist activists who were demonstrating against the leftist gathering at a university in France's third biggest city of Lyon. Video footage of the attack on the 12th of February shows a group of people setting upon Quentin Duronc, who is kicked multiple times before being left lying on the sidewalk while those involved in the attack fled on foot. The incident has fueled tension between France's far right and hard left ahead of local elections in March and next year's presidential race, in which the Nationalist Party is currently leading the polls. Ross Cullen, Paris.
U.S. civil rights icon, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, died at the age of 84. He was one of America's most influential black figures and twice ran for president. FSN's Tony Waterman has more.
He was this towering figure. He was a protege of Martin Luther King Jr. He was there when King was assassinated in 1968. He was, in fact, very close to him when that happened, physically, just a couple of feet away. But he is really seen as carrying on the fight for Black Americans. He transformed American politics, particularly the Democratic Party, by empowering these marginalized communities through his coalition, getting millions and millions of Black, Latino, and Asian Americans to register to vote and completely reshaping the face of the Democratic Party.
Those were some of the week's top stories. Ira Spitzer.
Later in the hour, the U.S. Postal Service announces that you can deliver the mail yourself if you think it's so easy. But first up in health news, researchers from Harvard University have found a strong link between male virility and wearing Motley Crue denim jackets. For the study, researchers paired fans of the band with a control group and found that those wearing Motley Crue attire were far more likely to knock out some chick's totally jacked boyfriend and then do it with her later that same day than those who simply wore casual clothes and probably wouldn't know what it feels like to have 2 threesomes in one night.
Men who own jackets with an image of Tommy Lee and Nikki Sixx sitting on top of a pair of breasts with nipples in the shape of pentagrams showed higher levels of sexual potency, endurance, and libido. These guys do it all the time, and sometimes even in public. They don't care.
Although the study primarily focused on men in Motley Crue jackets, researchers also found that men who listened to Nirvana had a high likelihood of staying virgins forever.
This is the Onion News Network.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Talk radio you control. All you have to do is call 603-283-6160 and we will talk to you about whatever you would like to. And also, I'd like to let you know that Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear like t-shirts and hoodies are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. In the studio tonight, you got Stu.
And Riley O'Bill.
This is a call-in show, and we have a caller on the line, so we're going to go straight to the phones. We have Sarah in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Oh, yes. They just finished the 30-day session this year, and one of the bills was to add 3 hours of vulnerable people on the road. It teaches for you to stop for pedestrians and bicyclists. So it's for all the new drivers.
Part of the driver's ed training.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Do you think that's going to accomplish anything, Sarah?
Well, I just think that something is better than nothing. 3 hours of beating them into the head, like it's illegal to run over pedestrians at crosswalks, at bicycles.
But people are going to forget their driver's ed training once they're done driver's ed, you do realize.
Yeah, it's an effort. I think it's not going to really do much of anything except that, it's a reminder. It was a House bill. My representative, Heather, Bergman, when she was running, I actually called her and talked to her. I said, if I vote for you, will you help the pedestrian safety? Because I'm a pedestrian. And it sounded like, she was in favor of doing something. And she sponsored the bill. She's the one that wrote the bill, came up with a bill, and put it on the floor, and it made it to the governor's desk. So I think it was kind of significant because, when you get elected, would you do something to make it safer? So, something is better than nothing. It's all, happens by incremental things. So, I think maybe we'll have maybe a couple of pedestrians killed less. It's a start of something. It's just all little things that it eventually adds up to the big picture.
Well,
So
I'm sure
it's
those
not much.
I'm sure those couple of pedestrians will appreciate being killed less.
Yeah. I personally don't think it's going to accomplish anything.
I sympathize with this notion as well, though. I wish there were a way to get it through young people's heads, particularly, young drivers are the worst about this. They get in the car and they forget the fact that it's, 2,000 pounds of whatever, fiberglass or steel.
Yeah.
And that it's going fast enough to absolutely destroy a human body. It's just, the thought doesn't even occur to them. And I wish there was a way to get it across.
I just don't think 3 hours of extra training is going to fix this.
Well, unfortunately, they've already done up to this point like 10,000 hours of government indoctrination. And they've learned the lesson well enough that they don't need to know what the person in the front of the room is saying. They just have to satisfy, the standardized testing.
Yeah.
So they're absolutely incentivized to not pay any attention.
And most people, at least most people I know, well, maybe not everyone I know, but a lot of people I know in school are I just want to know what I can do to get through the test and survive this class.
Mm-hmm. Whereas on a subject like that, they really probably ought to be taking it seriously. They've already been trained to not take any subject seriously because they know the bell's just going to ring in 15 minutes and then I got to be off to the next thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, just extra 3 hours. So I was told that, they teach you how to be careful with bicyclists, pedestrians already as it is.
Yeah, I remember that part.
Huh?
I remember that part in the training. I remember them talking about that, like be extra careful about pedestrians and bicyclists. They had a big focus on that.
Wait, that's New Hampshire.
No, that was Utah, actually.
Oh, that was Utah?
Yeah.
Well, this is New Mexico. I wonder if that 3 hours is supposed to teach the people here that it's actually against the law to hit them and keep on going. I don't know what it takes to get a driver's license in New Mexico. Obviously they don't think it's a crime to, run over red lights and just hit people and keep on going. I think that's what it is. I think it's different laws from this state. It's not considered like anything illegal.
Well,
I
think maybe that actually just it makes the situation worse when you try to frame it as this is so illegal, you should never do it. That's not the way I look at it. It's something that conscionably I would have a very hard time living with if I struck somebody with a vehicle. And that's why I'm careful about it. Not because I think, the law is going to come down on me for it. Has nothing to do with that. And I'll run a red light if nobody's around and like I'm waiting on nothing. Why am I going to wait for that light?
Well, this class, it sounds good, but there has to be consequences. Like, it doesn't matter if you sit there and they ramble on about another 3 hours of class. If you do hit a pedestrian, there have to be sentencing or liability or some kind of consequences like jail time. If it's not backed up by that, there's nothing behind it other than you sit there and waste 3 more hours acting like you're learning something.
A better social deterrent, in my opinion, would be some kind of a public shaming to where everybody knows that you are irresponsible when behind the wheel of a vehicle.
Maybe they should wear the scarlet letter.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a joke.
Okay.
New Mexico will rank the worst drivers by accidental data. They actually keep a record.
Okay.
But, with me, I don't need a data. All I have to do is look at all the, banged up fences, railings, and apartments demolished. There's just all these walls all knocked over everywhere, just self-explanatory. It's like we are the worst drivers. Let's look at how much things they ran into.
So where's the joke?
Well, don't you think that's funny? That I don't need a data to tell me this. I could just see by looking at whatever they demolished, ran into, and destroyed.
Yeah, that's funny. There's a whole list of things that government does with data that would just... It'd be funny if it wasn't so face-palmingly just sad.
Yeah.
The kind of...
Well, that's done by government. It's like this is done by auto insurance companies. It's capitalist entity. There's money involved in it. See, the insurance companies, they have to pay out. So they're the one that keeps track of who did what and how many people where did wrecks, and that's who keeps track of it. The government doesn't. I don't know if they hand over the data to the government later, but
So where did they post the rankings of worst drivers that you found?
It's collected by the auto insurance. They're the one that keeps track of it.
Okay.
I think, don't they have to, every time there's a wreck, they have to analyze who did what, who was at fault, and then they have to pay out.
That makes sense. They would be doing that for their own interest, yeah. So
Right. There you
keeping
go.
track of all that. So yeah, they would know
Right.
who's the least safe driving state.
Right. That would then, yeah, it's not the government agency would not, I think they would take data from them after they analyze it, but they're the one that would keep track of the really detailed data, and then they came out with Albuquerque drivers and New Mexico drivers were the worst drivers. I guess.
Have you thought about moving, Sarah? There are other places.
It's tolerable, I like the weather here. That's the only thing I don't like about New Mexico, and I'm here, so I'm trying to improve on it.
Okay.
So,
well, that's a decent attitude. There are things I liked quite a bit about Albuquerque. The I forgot what the name of that mountain range is. I think it's out on
Sandia.
Yeah, those are some nice mountains. And the air always just kind of smells nice and deserty there. Plenty of sagebrush, and the weather's nice. So there are things to like about Albuquerque.
That's one thing I miss about the desert is the smell.
Yep. Anyways, you got anything else for her, Sarah?
Well, you know what, Riley, I just want to say that, I think everybody has their own reality. Some people say all the politicians are the same. To me, they're different. I mean, there's a lot of people feel that they're worse than the other one. But to me, I feel like there is a difference between a worse president and a less worse president,
What is the difference between Obama and Bush?
Obama and Bush, and what about Trump? Well, I tell you something. When we have those awful presidents, if you're an American living abroad or traveling abroad or embassy, you're like, the foreign policy is so horrible. Like, they want you to get out of there. Ron, if you're in a military base now, they're telling you to escape.
Yeah, but that didn't get better after Bush when Obama took over. It got worse.
Well, I don't know. I don't think we had all that controversy as Reagan.
Absolutely, you had the Benghazi thing. You had is that when they overthrew Libya?
I think so, yeah.
And Gaddafi.
Yep.
And Obama is famous for being the drone strikingest president in history. And Like, he definitely didn't make the public perception of America better. He made it worse. And that's what we mean by they're the same.
Uh-huh. Well, the prince, wasn't he a capitalist in cahoots with the American oil companies, and they booted him out? So basically, Iran is a communist country. It has turned into a communist country, and then his son is still alive, but he's not welcome. I think that's what's going on, and that's why they shut off the missile to Ukraine to help them out. So they're basically socialist, communist, sided with Russians, and that's why they want to have a fight with Iran. So there you have it. What I noticed is that most of the Middle Eastern countries are socialist, communist countries. They have turned that way, and most of the South American countries are socialist, communist countries leaning. And it's no surprise that the poison that killed that guy in prison, the anti in Russia, it was a South American frog poison. Isn't that kind of ironic? Because I think the Russians are there trying to establish a communist system in South America. They would know a poisonous frog from South America. So I just put that together.
Well, yeah, kind of. Except that, so communist is the label that the Western regime will slap on any country that it wants to pick a fight with. Communist is not. It's not really an ideology that holds strongly in a lot of places where they claim that it does. Maybe it does in China. Maybe it does in Russia. Probably not so much in Iran. I would guess they're just a place that wants to be left alone to do their own thing for the most part. And
well, the U.S. has been meddling with Iran since the 1950s, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yep. And,
but that prince, wasn't he living high off the hog from the travel shows that I have seen? He was like living in mansions and stuff like that because he was in bed with American oil companies. So he got all the money.
You're talking about
him off
the son of the Shah?
The oil. Gaddafi or whatever, that prince that got exiled.
Oh, Gaddafi? He started making a gold currency, and they didn't like that. That seemed to be the final straw with that.
Oh, is that what happened?
That, and he was actually doing some things that were going to bring prosperity to that part of Africa, and they couldn't have that. Because once you have an African country show that it can be prosperous, pretty soon they're all going to do it, and then they're uncontrollable. And Africa is a major hub of, international trade for resources of all kinds. That's why China's doing what are they calling it, the Belt and Road, right? That's basically their highway to get all the minerals out of Africa.
Well, Venezuela, when they're going to invade, there were Chinese delegates. They had to go back to China because they were doing business in Venezuela. They were there because they were communists, so they're allies. And the Chinese are developing a lot of African countries too, from what I was told.
Yeah, China is pretty much one Africa, and America is not even looking at that with any interest anymore. The Westerners used to run a big portion of Africa, and now they're just kind of giving up on it, letting China have it. Trump now wants Greenland, which he occasionally calls Iceland.
Yeah.
And Venezuela, right? But that's only because this has been set out by Council on Foreign Relation, UN type agendas where they have this notion of blocking up the world into anywhere from 3 to 5 power blocks, right? So the Western one they have envisioned as being Greenland, Canada, Mexico, and United States, and some of South America. And they call that the American Technate, or the homeland, American Technate homeland, or something like that. So,
well, I don't know. Mexico is communist because I think if you want to go to communist Cuba, you could actually travel back and forth from Mexico. It was never an embargo.
Mexico is just doing whatever they can under the thumb of CIA. They're scattered because, you know, the corruption that runs through that place. And the corruption is all sponsored by, you know, the Western establishment. And so they basically operate as much in the gray and black markets as they can, and it works out well for them. Things seem pretty decent in Mexico most of the times. Like, obviously, Mexico City is going to be a little rough and things like that, but Mexico seems a decent place to live.
Or whatever, that guy that they were going to kill him in Russia, Trotsky or whatever, he ran into Mexico City because it's a communist country at the time. They welcomed him, right?
Who, Trotsky?
Trotsky, yeah. Why did he, out of all the countries to hide, he went to Mexico to hide?
I don't know. There seems to be some kind of a weird... it was like a weird espionage pipeline that goes between Russia and Mexico, or definitely was around that time, because you have the whole Oswald, Lee Harvey Oswald being in Russia for a long time at a time when no American was really allowed to just hang out in Russia. And, you know, that's because he was all hooked up in the intelligence community and like their side business of fomenting coups and running drugs and weapons and all the stuff that they do.
About who the Oswald? What is this guy? Is he the one that the Oklahoma bomber?
No, that's the one they said killed JFK.
Allegedly.
Yeah, the patsy that they put up as being the JFK killer.
And he was hanging down in Mexico?
Yeah, he was in Mexico City. And he was in Russia. He was in Moscow. And there's a lot to his story. So there's... Trotsky was funded by the Westerners in the first place. I don't know if you know about that, but that was all like Rockefeller money, and a large part of it was Rothschild money as well.
Oh, is that why he was fighting and picking fights with all the communist parties to break them up? And then he took bribes for it? Is that what his job was?
I'm not sure. All I know is he was in New York and got loaded up with a whole bunch of cash before he went over to Russia and did his thing there.
Interesting.
Oh boy.
Interesting.
Oh my goodness! I never heard that. I just thought he liked to pick. Wasn't he like a founder of the Communist Party and the Russias? But I never heard that he took bribes.
Yeah, well,
I never knew that.
I don't know if it was bribes exactly, but he was funded by people with an agenda, and they have the same agenda as they do all over the world. It's a very small global club that kind of does, what do they call it? What would the big new Brzezinski call it? The Grand Chessboard, right? I think that was his book. And it's all about geopolitical strategy and whatever, but it's never what they tell you it is. It's always a very small group of people with a whole bunch of money that decide what's going to happen and then what story they're going to make up to tell the rest of us about it.
Well, it's that chess they got to play to make sure everyone's paying attention and falling in line.
Yeah. History is a strange thing when you start looking into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But did you believe in 1988, when the Berlin Wall fell, that communism fell too? I thought that was a major con job, because the Russians were so strong, just overnight, they collapsed. I thought that was always fishy. I never believed it.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about that one. And it wasn't real impactful on me at that time. Thanks for the call at the night, Sarah. I was only 8 years old when that happened.
I was 2. Well, I was 2 years old when that happened.
But yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of fishy stuff about it, as well as in the early 90s when Soviet Union split apart.
Yeah.
And that was all. I'm sure there was a whole bunch of fishy goings on in that. I just haven't looked into that part. Give us a call. The phone number here is 603-283-6160. Let us know what's on your mind. It's Free Talk Live.
Negotiation isn't just something union leaders and sports agents do. Your entire day is a series of negotiations. If you have young children, you know that. In fact, your kids can teach you a lot about negotiating with grown-ups. According to the world's greatest negotiator, Herb Cohen, author of You Can Negotiate Anything. Herb says that kids understand the process of decision-making within an organization. When one parent says no, they'll ask the other. And Cohen says children persist and persevere. And like smart negotiators of all ages, kids know that no is an opening bargaining position. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important, especially if you're a job seeker. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew of the British royal family, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. It relates to his time as trade envoy and the alleged sharing of confidential material with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He has not been charged and has long denied any wrongdoing. FSN's Ollie Barrett has more from London.
What police are further saying is that this is part of an investigation now, they confirm. The reason that is significant is that previously Thames Valley Police had simply said they were assessing claims that had been made to them about the potential of misconduct in a public office. They've now confirmed a formal investigation is underway and an arrest has been made. They say the arrest was made on suspicion of misconduct in public office, and they say they're also carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that President Trump's sweeping tariffs on global trading partners are illegal. In a 6-3 ruling, the court determined that the tariffs didn't have the proper authorization from Congress. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
This ruling is a tremendous blow for the US president and a rare rebuke of his presidential powers. 6 out of the 9 justices saying that they did not believe he had the legal authority to impose tariffs, instead saying that he must have congressional authorization. They said that he had tried to assert extraordinary power to unilaterally impose tariffs of unlimited amount, duration and scope. He has reacted by calling the ruling a disgrace, but also saying he has a backup plan. It is likely the White House will look for other ways to reimpose these tariffs.
India joined the U.S.-led AI infrastructure initiative called Pax Silica, which is widely seen as a countermeasure to China's dominance over the supply of key materials used in the industry. It came as top U.S. companies pledged to invest billions of dollars in India during an AI Impact Summit. FSN's Ishan Garg has more from New Delhi.
India joined the Pax Silica initiative on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit, ending speculation over whether trade tensions were getting in the way of broader cooperation between Washington and New Delhi. According to the U.S. State Department, Pax Silica is aimed at bringing friendly countries together to reduce what it calls coercive dependencies. The initiative was launched in December last year with countries including the UK, Australia, South Korea and the UAE as its first few members. With India pitching itself as a key AI power during the AI summit, analysts say the move not only highlights New Delhi's role on a global stage, but also signals thaw in US-India ties.
From Bureaus Worldwide.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. You can get your thoughts and ideas on the air. All you have to do is call 603-283-6160. I would like to thank tonight Elliot for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that Elliot went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks again to Elliot and everyone who supports us. Again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier. In the studio tonight, it's Stu.
And Riley O'Bell.
In the last segment, we had a conversation with Sarah.
All about how New Mexico, she started her call out off with talking about how New Mexico was adding 3 extra hours of training to their driver's ed program or something like that to say, oh, well, it's against the law to kill pedestrians. Well, I don't know how much good that's going to do. Because whether it's against the law or not, it's still a terrible idea to drive a car and kill people. So I don't know how good the training's actually going to be. Maybe it's just 3 extra hours that a student has to deal with a class.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be very effective. The kids aren't paying attention to that. They're just waiting until they can play with their phone again.
Yeah.
Let's see. She's talking about a little bit about the geopolitical situation as well.
Yep.
So kind of along those lines, I think we could read this story here. This is I found this also at Activist Post. This is from Max Blumenthal. A U.S.-funded opposition journalist revealed the Trump DOJ has crafted a secret indictment of Venezuela's acting president to hold it over her head and will execute it if she derails. The Trump administration is using a secret indictment to assert leverage over Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, according to the editor-in-chief of the U.S. government-funded outlet Armando.info. One of the information we manage is that the U.S. is holding an indictment against Rodriguez to make it public just in case she derails. Valentina Laris Martez revealed during a February 6, 2026 webinar hosted by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, the OCCRP, an outlet also sponsored by the U.S. government. Just hold it over her head. Oh, just hold it over her head? Asked OCCRP Deputy Editor Julia Wallace. Yeah, so I think she and her brother, George Rodriguez, or Jorge Rodriguez, they're in this survival mode, and they will have the capacity to move the pieces as long as the U.S. backs her up, Armando.info's Laris Martez affirmed. A January 17, 2026 report by the Associated Press revealed that the Drug Enforcement Administration classified acting President Rodriguez as a priority target almost as soon as she was appointed as vice president in 2018. David Smildy, an academic who crusades for regime change in Venezuela at the U.S. government and ExxonMobil-funded Atlantic Council, described the DEA investigations of Rodriguez as logical. Smildy explained to the AP that the investigation gives the U.S. government leverage over her. She may fear that if she does not do as the Trump administration demands, she could end up with an indictment like Maduro. During the OCCRP webinar, Stephen Dudley of the State Department-funded Insight Crime outlet remarked that this isn't without precedent in terms of the U.S. government hanging an indictment over somebody to cajole them into doing their bidding. It seems like dirty dealings.
The United States government
now too.
The United States government lately has been dealing in dirty dealings for a long time, so I'm not surprised.
It's been going on for a long time, but they for the most part, you had to really be paying attention to hear them say it. Now they just say it.
They just want to make it front and center.
Yeah. Dudley added, they don't need an indictment to cajole people. They have a giant military, and they've shown that they're willing to use that military. That is the biggest stick. Jeez, that's horrible things to say. Confronting a military aggression unprecedented in our history. Delcy Rodriguez stepped in as acting president following a deadly U.S. military raid on Caracas this January 3rd, which left over 100 dead, including 32 Cuban military officers, and resulted in the kidnapping of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores. In an interview with The Atlantic the following day, U.S. President Donald Trump recognized Rodriguez as the new leader, but warned if she doesn't do what's right, she's going to pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro. Since then, Rodriguez has presided over the passage of an organic law on hydrocarbons, which rolled back the socialist reforms to the late President Hugo Chavez made to the country's state oil company, PDVSA. In a January 16th speech to Venezuela's National Council of Economic Productivity, Rodriguez explained the impetus for the new law. Enough time has passed and Venezuela has been subjected to an unprecedented economic blockade. Well, recently there has been a military aggression unprecedented in our history, and Venezuela must move forward without compromising historical principles or compromising Venezuelan dignity. And in that direction, we have made the decision, seeing the successful results of the business models contemplated in the organic anti-blockade law, to take the models that are there and incorporate them into the organic law on hydrocarbons. While the law allows Venezuela to draw new revenue streams from an oil sector that has withstood years of punishing sanctions, the Trump administration has assumed custody of Venezuela's oil revenue at the point of a gun, holding the profits in a private account in Qatar, which is not accountable to Congress. Oh, that's not good. Rodriguez and her older brother Jorge have both served in influential roles under Maduro, with Delcy Rodriguez operating as vice president while overseeing hydrocarbon policy. In 2018, she initiated a project to survive Trump's maximum pressure policy, successfully guiding an organic anti-blockade law through the Constituent Assembly, which reformed PDVSA. Since Maduro's abduction, the Rodriguez siblings have been under mounting pressure to accommodate onerous demands from Washington in order to prevent a destabilizing process of regime change. Do you remember the videos of Donald Trump talking about regime change and like how America needed to stop with the regime change? And
Oh yeah. I remember hearing about that. Well, I guess he's furthering the U.S. agenda of regime change.
Funny how quick things change.
Yeah, just like he was saying a long time ago that Obama would use a war with Iran to get her elected. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Trump is weighing options to go to war with Iran.
Yeah, and I knew this was coming. And it's okay if you got tricked. You shouldn't feel too bad. I mean, he did say the right things. Just, I knew he wasn't gonna
trust not their words, trust their actions.
Yeah, trust that guy to not regime change a country. Sure. Let's see. Looming behind every move is the memory of their father, Jorge Antonio Rodriguez, a leftist militant who was tortured to death in prison by CIA-trained interrogators under a pro-U.S. government in 1976. In the past, the U.S. Department of Justice has used sealed indictments to deny targets of its global lawfare regime the chance to preempt investigations. As the Gray Zone revealed, Trump's DOJ secretly indicted WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange on December 21, 2017, just one day after CIA spies learned that Assange was planning to leave the Ecuadorian embassy in London where he had been given sanctuary. On April 11, 2019, British police stormed the embassy on U.S. orders and arrested Assange in a blatant violation of diplomatic sovereignty. Colombian-born Venezuelan official Alex Saab was also the target of a secret U.S. indictment that was only publicized after he was abducted from an airport in Cape Verde while on an official diplomatic mission in 2020. During the OCCRP webinar, Armando.info's Larry Martez noted that the U.S. slapped sanctions on Delcy Rodriguez in 2017. However, she doesn't have an open and formal investigation against her. But that could all change, she insisted, if the acting president defies the Trump administration's paternalistic instructions. Pro-transparency Armando.info, based at a Delaware mailbox funded by Washington. Larry Martez is in a prime position to know if the U.S. is preparing a secret indictment of Rodriguez, as the publication she edits, Armando.info, functions at the center of a network of U.S. government-funded journalistic outlets which exist to shop dirt on the Latin American leaders targeted by Washington. You hear what they're doing with your tax money? Let me read this again. Larry Martez is in a prime position to know if the U.S. is preparing a secret indictment of Rodriguez, as the publication she edits, Armando.info, functions at the center of a network of U.S. government-funded journalistic outlets, which exist only to shop dirt on Latin American leaders targeted by Washington. Yeah, I guess, your normie's just going to go, yeah, well, that's what national intelligence and security is. But, I don't know. That's just plain dirty. Though its staff operates from Bogota, Colombia, Armando.info is registered at a post office box in Newark, Delaware, where it is listed by Delaware's Division of Corporation as not in good standing.
Interesting.
It's they've even gone ahead and posted the information right from that website, showing that it's a corporation not in good standing. One of Armando.info's top donors is the National Endowment for Democracy. Those guys are not good. A CIA spinoff which channels U.S. money into opposition parties and media promoting regime change. The outlet is also listed as a member of the global network of OCCRP, which has received most of its budget from the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. A 2024-25 Frontline documentary series about Armando.info's work in Venezuela, A Dangerous Assignment, made it clear the outlet's staff were dedicated anti-Chavista operatives seemingly coordinating their work with the U.S. government. The documentary chronicled the investigation by Larry Martez and her colleague Roberto Deniz of the Colombian-born Venezuelan official Alex Saab, who had spearheaded a food importation program known as CLAP that aimed to prevent widespread hunger amid crushing American sanctions by providing food at below market value to the Venezuelan public. Published by the U.S. government's public broadcasting service, A Dangerous Assignment received investment support from Luminate, a NGO founded by U.S. intelligence adjacent billionaire Pierre Omidyar. I've never heard that name.
I haven't either.
In 2020, Saab was abducted under orders from U.S. authorities following a series of Armando.info reports accusing him of using the CLAP program as an avenue for corruption. He was released from U.S. federal prison through a December 2023 prisoner swap. By this point, Armando.info's leadership had left Venezuela following lawsuits by Attorney General Tarek William Saab. In the aftermath of Maduro's abduction, the Armando.info team is homing in on Saab once again and apparently working to whip up a dossier on the newly inaugurated president. But during the OCCRP webinar, Larry Martez conceded that she lacks compromising information on Delcy Rodriguez and her brother Jorge. They are hardly in any cases of corruption that I have written about, or in Armando.info, or even OCCRP has investigated. Sounds like they're squeaky clean.
Yeah.
But she suggested that U.S. intelligence is actively investigating Venezuela's state oil company in search of dirt on Venezuela's new president. Everything is related to corruption in PDVSA, she remarked. I think it's going to be looked up very carefully. On January 16th, Rodriguez met in her office with CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Later that month, CNN reported that the CIA is poised to help actively manage the Trump administration's dealings with Venezuela's new leadership. In other words, the CIA is poised to run Venezuela. And Trump's going to let them.
Of course he is. He wants to be the big dog in the neighborhood by keeping peace.
Mm-hmm. So the summary of that story is that the CIA is using a reporting agency, like a news agency, to to gather intelligence and build a dossier or any kind of criminal things they could point at for the new president of Venezuela, who was previously the vice president, in order to keep her in line. This is
it's blackmail.
That's the way everything's run. That's the main point of the Epstein stuff, in my opinion. Like, I know a lot of that is people think it's just about, like weird sex stuff or,
cannibalism,
child victims or cannibalism or whatever. But that is an aspect of what it's really about, which is it's control through blackmail. And everybody who gets to make big decisions on the world stage has some amount of blackmail on them, keeping them under control. That's the main takeaway from all this Epstein stuff.
Yeah, they basically want to have enough dirt on you that if they find you doing something that is out of line with their agenda, they'll release the dirt they have on you to the public.
Mm-hmm. So fall in line or incur the wrath.
Pretty much.
Let's see. What else is going on?
Well, there are a lot of things going on that we could talk about. Silver is going up and down. Bitcoin's going up and down. Not that these things matter, but
the metals market thing is also kind of a geopolitical global thing going on.
Oh yeah.
Price of silver in China right now is what is it, like 10 to 20% higher than it is over here?
I think so, yeah.
And that's for various reasons that are complicated. But worth looking into if you're interested in that stuff. If not, maybe just buy a little silver. Silver Dave, I think, has the best prices on fractional silver anywhere.
Yeah.
If I heard that right. So, maybe you don't want to buy a whole bunch. Maybe you just want like a little bit. You can buy these gorgeous little 10th ounce bars. I think his mint is called Local Silver Mint, and they have one in, I think, Manchester and one in Ware.
I think so, yeah. So Local Silver Mint is Silver Dave's operation. He does really good work. Highly recommend him.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely like the 10-ounce bits that he offers. He has 1/10 of an ounce rounds. He has 1/10 of an ounce bars. Definitely check out his work. Definitely check him out. Local Silver Mint. Highly recommended.
Yep, good stuff there. Slow night on the phones, isn't it?
That's all right. We can still do a show.
Oh yeah, we got plenty to talk about. This is a call-in show though, so if you're listening and you think you should call in, please do. The phone number here is 603-283-6160. Let's see. One of the big goings on in the libertarian community is the debacle of Pork Fest /Fork Fest for this year.
Yeah.
It sounds like there may not be a Pork Fest at all this year. I don't know if that's an official announcement, but that's the word that I've heard floating around.
I've heard that word too. I've also heard rumors that they're going to announce a real location for Pork Fest at Liberty Forum this year, which is March 5th through the 8th.
Okay.
In what is it, Concord? I think they're holding it in Concord this year. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
That's getting a little close to the deadline. Seems like if they have something worked out, they might want to say it now.
Yeah, definitely.
It definitely, if they don't have anything set by the 8th, I'm going to say it's not happening this year. Because, I don't know, they're running out of time, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And people like to plan for these things. So, Fork Fest is still a thing, since it has no leaders and is dependent on, people behaving themselves and having a good time.
And it's decentralized, so there's no one organizing it and saying, we're going to do this at this time. You got to sign up here to do a speech, or you got to sign up here to provide your vending. You show up, you do your vending, you give a speech. If people want to show up for your speech, then perfect. If people don't, perfect.
Yeah, should be a good time if the attendees make it so.
And it's going to entirely depend on you. Like, if you go to Fork Fest expecting to be entertained and you're not providing the entertainment, well, you're not learning why Fork Fest is a thing. You're learning that, hey, I should rely on others to do the work for me. Well, you got to do the work yourself, son, as they would say. So, go to ForkFest.party to learn more about Fork Fest and come attend. It's going to be a fun event. Now, the reason we should probably get into a bit of the history about Fork Fest. Fork Fest is a spin-off of the Porcupine Freedom Festival. Some people were upset with the way the Free State Project was handling Pork Fest. And so it was like, well, let's do our own thing either before or after the Porcupine Freedom Festival. And so Fork Fest became a thing. Entirely decentralized. You show up for your own thing, provide your goods, provide your services, whatever. And that was that. It was a way to get back to the original Porcupine Freedom Festival. So that's what I remember as a history of Fork Fest.
Yep. And sometimes, historically, it has preceded Pork Fest. Sometimes it has come after. This year, it might just run the week that Pork Fest normally would have, and there's not going to be a Pork Fest, but we'll see how all this boils out.
Yeah, we will. Only time will tell. I just find it interesting that, libertarians seem to love to argue, and, we've conditioned ourselves as libertarians to love arguing so much that we argue amongst ourselves a little too much, so,
Sam Bankman-Fried is back in the news.
Oh, the fraudster himself, huh?
Yeah, he wants a new trial. It looks like his mom went and filed a request to have a new trial.
Okay.
So we can get into that article.
Let's do it.
Especially if we don't get any callers. We'd much rather talk to you, though. So give us a call. The phone number here is 603-283-6160. You can talk about whatever is on your mind. You just have to follow the FCC rules about the certain words you can't say.
Yeah.
And some contextual things. But mostly you can say whatever you want. Again, that phone number is 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live.
I'm not interested in supporting the killing of people around the world, and I'm not interested in supporting the imprisoning of people within this country, so that should make it pretty clear what my position is. What's yours, Frankie?
Kind of have an inclination that from what's going on and, the media, how the media plays into it, and how they're popping up with different areas in the world, like Somalia.
Who's popping up with different areas of the world?
Do you watch the news? You watch the news?
Hell no. Who's popping up? You said someone's popping up. They are popping up. Who is they?
I'm sorry. You know what it is? I'm thinking that you watch the news like I do.
I don't watch television. I don't even have television. Do you guys watch the news?
No, I read a lot of news, but I don't watch the news.
The problem is, Frankie, if we can't communicate, we can't have a conversation.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern at freetalklive.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew of the British royal family, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. It relates to his time as trade envoy and the alleged sharing of confidential material with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He has not been charged and has long denied any wrongdoing. FSN's Ollie Barrett has more from London.
What police are further saying is that this is part of an investigation now, they confirm. The reason that is significant is that previously Thames Valley Police had simply said they were assessing claims that had been made to them about the potential of misconduct in a public office. They've now confirmed a formal investigation is underway and an arrest has been made. They say the arrest was made on suspicion of misconduct in public office, and they say they're also carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that President Trump's sweeping tariffs on global trading partners are illegal. In a 6-3 ruling, the court determined that the tariffs didn't have the proper authorization from Congress. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
This ruling is a tremendous blow for the US president and a rare rebuke of his presidential powers. 6 out of the 9 justices saying that they did not believe he had the legal authority to impose tariffs, instead saying that he must have congressional authorization to exercise this power. They said that he had tried to assert extraordinary power to unilaterally impose tariffs of unlimited amount, duration, and scope. He has reacted by calling the ruling a disgrace, but also saying he has a backup plan. It is likely the White House will look for other ways to reimpose these tariffs using other means.
India joined the U.S.-led AI infrastructure initiative called Pax Silica, which is widely seen as a countermeasure to China's dominance over the supply of key materials used in the industry. It came as top U.S. companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google pledged to invest billions of dollars in India during an AI Impact Summit. FSN's Ishan Garg has more from New Delhi.
India joined the Pax Silica initiative on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit, ending speculation over whether trade tensions were getting in the way of broader cooperation between Washington and New Delhi. According to the U.S. State Department, Pax Silica is aimed at bringing friendly countries together to reduce what it calls coercive dependencies. The initiative was launched in December last year with countries including the UK, Australia, South Korea and the UAE as its first few members. With India pitching itself as a key AI power during the AI summit, analysts say the move not only highlights New Delhi's role on a global stage, but also signals thaw in US-India ties. Ishan Garg, New Delhi.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN. 11 people were arrested in France over the recent killing of a far-right activist. Quentin Duranc died after sustaining a severe brain injury when he was attacked on the sidelines of a far-right protest against a left-wing politician speaking in the city of Lyon. FSN's Ross Cullen reports from Paris.
The 23-year-old was part of a group providing security for nationalist activists who were demonstrating against the leftist gathering at a university in France's third biggest city of Lyon. Video footage of the attack on the 12th of February shows a group of people setting upon Quentin Duronc, who's kicked multiple times before being left lying on the sidewalk while those involved in the attack fled on foot. The incident has fueled tension between France's far right and hard left ahead of local elections in March and next year's presidential race, in which the Nationalist Party is currently leading the polls. Ross Cullen, Paris.
U.S. civil rights icon, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, died at the age of 84. He was one of America's most influential black figures and twice ran for president. FSN's Tony Waterman has more.
He was this towering figure. He was a protege of Martin Luther King Jr. He was there when King was assassinated in 1968. He was, in fact, very close to him when that happened, physically, just a couple of feet away. But he is really seen as carrying on the fight for Black Americans. He transformed American politics, particularly the Democratic Party, by empowering these marginalized communities through his coalition, getting millions and millions of Black, Latino, and Asian Americans to register to vote and completely reshaping the face of the Democratic Party.
Those were some of the week's top stories. Ira Spitzer.
They started with Google Glass, and now the engineers behind Google have created a new body part to strap gadgets onto. They're calling it the flange, and the new synthetic skin appendage fits between the shoulder blades into a flat surface capable of holding a wide array of new gadgets for Google to hawk to consumers. While unveiling the innovation today, Google CEO Larry Page said, quote, "The possibilities for the number of completely pointless gadgets to strap, bind, and stick to your body are now endless." Early adopters are already raving about the synthetic body part.
It overheats and burns my skin pretty bad when I have it on, but I'm really getting to like it.
I'm actually thinking of getting a second one installed.
Critics are cautioning the tech world to not hail the flange as an achievement yet, since several users have reported problems with the device permanently grafting to their spinal column if worn overnight. Coming up next, Doritos unveils new e-Doritos that come in JPEG form whenever you're hungry.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Talk radio you control. Give us a call. Let us know what you're thinking about tonight. The phone number here is 603-283-6160. Fork Fest is back at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. This June 22nd through the 29th, come camp with people who actually think and live like libertarians. Jump on a soapbox and give a speech if you'd like to give one, or listen to others. Vend or enjoy food and wares from other vendors. Forkfest is what you want it to be. There's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. Forkfest.party for more info. That's forkfest.party. And disclaimer, this is still an ongoing formation of a Forkfest.
Right.
But there will be some kind of a party. I'm almost sure of it.
Oh, we're libertarians, and, we're going to find a way to party and sell things.
Definitely.
Live freedom as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. If you're thinking about coming up, I would encourage it.
I would too. Come visit New Hampshire.
So we were about to talk about Sam Bankman-Fried again.
Just a side note, Sam Bankman-Fried was coming on to the news cycle when Ian Freeman was put on trial, so I wonder if that had anything to do with his conviction.
Let's get into this story here. Sam Bankman-Fried, the former CEO of collapsed crypto exchange FTX, is seeking a new trial, according to a request filed in a New York federal court by his mother. Since being convicted and imprisoned on a 25-year sentence, SBF has been continually challenging his situation in court. The latest motion for a new trial, first reported on Tuesday by Inner City Press, was filed by his mother, Barbara Fried, claiming new evidence in the case would justify a reset. The filing noted the initial absence of testimony from figures, including FTX's Ryan Salame, who fought his own separate legal battle. The former FTX executive Salame was also convicted on federal charges, but had claimed he made an arrangement to cooperate with prosecutors that should have protected his wife, Michelle Bond, from legal pursuit. She was later charged with allegedly taking illegal campaign contributions in her congressional bid. SBF's 35-page document arrived at the court as a pro se request, meaning the defendant is representing himself. How does one represent themselves? Don't you just present yourself because it's yourself?
I think so. I don't know how you represent yourself.
Earlier efforts by SBF to argue he didn't get a fair initial trial, which came to a head in November, were met with some skepticism by appellate judges. SBF's defense in seeking a retrial through appeal focused attention on the later solvency of FTX, and his account on the social media site X continues to make the argument that the company wasn't bankrupt when it collapsed. However, judges contended in November that solvency didn't seem to be the primary issue. Part of the government's theory of the case is that the defendant misrepresented to investors that their money was safe, was not being used in the way that it was, the government claims, and the jury convicted it was, in fact, used, said Circuit Judge Maria Araujo Khan, referring to the misappropriation of customer money at the heart of his conviction. Shutting down another potential path to freedom, President Donald Trump recently said he wouldn't consider clemency for SBF. However, the former FTX CEO is still campaigning for himself via his account on X, arguing he's a victim of former President Joe Biden's lawfare machine. Accelerating convergence between traditional and on-chain finance in 2026. This is that's where the story ends, I think.
Huh. So Bankman-Fried is going after a new trial. I wonder what the courts are going to decide on this one, because it sounds like to me he may not get another trial based on what we know about him. I think it's just a last ditch effort to try and get a new trial. So we'll see.
Yeah. So it's funny he claims that he's a victim of the Biden regime's lawfare machine, because wasn't part of his misappropriation of customer funds that he was giving it to like the Democratic Party?
I have no idea.
Maybe I'm remembering that wrong, but
if it was, it's kind of strange.
Yeah, I think he was just absolutely backfilling the coffers of the Democrats.
Right, and now that they're not in power, his friends can't bail him out of jail.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he was surprised that his quote-unquote friends threw him under the bus, but when you hang out with those types of people and call them your friends, that's what's going to happen to you.
Right.
So, I don't know. SBF might be even a decent person for all I know. I really don't know all that much about him. I doubt it. He's probably pretty scummy. But, you hang out with those guys. That's how you're going to end up, whether you like it or not. Whether you're a good person or not, doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Hang out with evil people, they're going to rub off on you.
Mm-hmm. I've got one here about further destruction to the economy at the hands of Trump. This is Google expands in India to avoid Trump's $100,000 H-1B visa fee. On Friday, September 19th, 2025, President Donald J. Trump signed a proclamation restriction on entry of certain non-immigrant workers that took an important initial and incremental step to reform the H-1B visa program to curb abuses and protect American workers. This proclamation requires a $100,000 payment to accompany any new H-1B visa petitions submitted after 12:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on September 21st, 2025. This includes the 2026 lottery and any other H-1B petitions submitted after 12:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on September 21st, 2025. Authorizes the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of State to coordinate to take all necessary and appropriate action to implement this proclamation. Alphabet Inc. is plotting to dramatically expand its presence in India with the possibility of taking millions of square feet of new office space in Bangalore, India's tech hub. Google's parent company has leased one office tower and purchased options on two others in Alembic City, a development in the Whitefield Tech Corridor totaling 2.4 million square feet, according to people familiar with the deal. The first tower is expected to open to employees in the coming months, while construction on the remaining two is set to conclude next year. Options in the real estate industry give would-be tenants the exclusive right to rent or in some cases buy a property at a predetermined price with a specific time frame. It's also possible Alphabet will not exercise the option to use the additional towers. If it does take all the space, the complex could accommodate as many as 20,000 additional staff, which could more than double the company's footprint in India, said the people, asking not to be identified because the plans aren't public. Alphabet currently employs around 14,000 in the country out of a global workforce of roughly 190,000. Google rivals, including OpenAI and Anthropic PBC, have recently set up shop in the country, with Anthropic appointing former Microsoft Corp executive Irina Ghosh to lead its India operations in January. India has a real opportunity to shape how AI is built and deployed at scale, Ghosh said at the time. For U.S. tech giants, India offers a strategic workaround to Washington's tightening immigration regime. The Trump administration has moved to sharply hike the fees for H-1B work visas, potentially to $100,000 per application.
Wow.
Making it harder for companies to bring Indian engineers to the U.S. The shift is fueling the growth of so-called global capability centers or technology hubs operated by multinational corporations across sectors from software and retail to finance. Many of these centers are now focused on building AI products and infrastructure. NASSCOM, India's IT industry trade group, estimates such centers will employ 2.5 million people by 2030, up from 1.9 million today. Google is already a major player in this shift. Last year, it opened its largest campus in Bangalore, complete with an indoor mini golf, pickleball courts, and cafeterias serving cardamom tea. For AI giants like Alphabet, India's appeal is not just its talent pool. Tens of millions of new internet users come online annually, becoming potential customers for chatbots and AI assistants, as well as trying out new AI coding tools. The India headcount for the U.S. tech giants Facebook, Amazon.com Inc., Apple Inc., Microsoft Corp., Netflix Inc., and Google collectively grew by 16% over the last 12 months, the biggest jump in a 3-year period, according to talent solutions and staffing company Zeno PVT.
So it sounds like Google and Alphabet are expanding to India, not just because of the talent pool, as they said, but because new users are going to be available, people are coming online. I think this is going to be interesting to watch how India and Asia are going to dominate the AI space in coming years. They're going to be online more. The third world's going to come online more. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it does seem there's a tech race going on for that. Trump's solution was to throw $500 billion at it, calling it Operation Warp Speed. One of the first things he did.
Yep.
And then China was like, dude, we can make what you're trying to make for like less than $1 million. And they just laughed at him. But I don't know. Trump didn't pull back his $500 billion to his tech bro buddies.
No.
This article concludes by saying, congratulations to Trump. Congratulations to Trump for creating as many as 600,000 jobs. Well, sort of. Those jobs are in India. In October, Google had said it would invest $15 billion over 5 years to set up an artificial intelligence data center in India's southern state of Andhra Pradesh, its biggest ever investment in the nation. That's $15 billion there, not here. It says, question, what do we call this? Answer, winning, silly. It's not like we need workers here spending money in the U.S. That's where it ends. I'm torn on this. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. You work where the incentive is.
You really do. You can only go where the work goes, and if there's no work in your town or whatever, you got to go somewhere else.
Yeah, and I've always found it distasteful when economists and social planners start talking about my incentives and what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you guys can't actually make anything. I can make super high quality stuff. You can't do any of it. Here you are, like, you're making the lion's share of the money just planning what I'm going to do when you can't actually do any of it. How does that make any sense? That was a big reason I quit being a machinist.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, without me as a machinist, America, you can't win a war. You're going to need me building your missiles, or they're just not going to work very well.
You don't think they can automate the process?
Well, they would need me to maintain those robots. I know how the automation robots work too, and they definitely need human oversight.
Yeah. I've been listening to a few videos on YouTube from an airline pilot who talks about, his opinion is that automation can be good for the aviation industry, but it will never replace an experienced pilot in the cockpit, because if you have an experienced pilot, they can make better decisions than a computer.
Mm-hmm. That's true, and it isn't true. Targeting software by AI is going to be way more accurate and fast than a human ever could be.
Sure.
So there's that aspect of it, but also like split-second decisions probably still go to the human at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Because the AI is going to misinterpret data.
Yeah.
Whereas the human mind it's incredibly good at calculating a whole bunch of data real fast in situations like that. Where it's like, you gotta make a muscle response in order to save your life. Human brains are incredibly good at that real fast.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. Good job, Trump.
I know, right?
$100,000 H-1B visas. I don't know. It'll be interesting to look at how many of those are applied for and granted. And then where that money came from, and I bet there's a whole bunch of corruption that ensues there.
Yeah. Well, we live in a time of corruption, and everything is coming out right now.
Yep. What else we got? We were talking about the metals markets earlier. You know who Peter Schiff is?
I've heard of the name. I know he's a huge proponent of metals.
So he does Schiff Gold. And he's he has for a long time hovered around the crypto community and has been shouting at them about how gold is better than crypto.
Yeah.
And recently he has really made his statement well. And his whole point is, Bitcoin's not backed by anything. I could give you a crypto that's actually backed by gold, and so that's like the best of both worlds, right? People the sound money people want return to the gold standard, and the crypto people want, easy to use, cheap transaction, send it anywhere in the world, digital, magic internet money, right? So if you had a gold-backed one of those, that's the best of both worlds, and you're in good shape. Well, I think he's now offering just that. So we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of excited about that.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes for sure. Like I wish there was a way for me to audit everything. Like if there were gold-backed crypto, I wish there was a simple way for me as a layman to audit the crypto to say, okay, well, they're able to back my transactions up with gold. They have the gold. They're stored somewhere. So I don't know. It would be nice.
Mm-hmm. The other thing along those similar lines that I heard, and we were speaking of earlier, Silver Dave, he is now offering, I'm not exactly sure what the details on it are, but he's offering precious metal banking, essentially, to where you'll get an interest return paid in silver on silver deposits with him.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to look into that. Silver is definitely a more appealing currency, in my opinion, than gold is.
Yeah. What appeals you? What's more appealing to you about silver than gold? Like gold seems more appealing to me, but it's also really expensive.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that I could put my finger on it, but after having listened to a bunch of history about, specifically about money, the things that stuck out to me was how hard it was for the Western establishment to wrench silver out of the hands of countries like Mexico and the Philippines. These guys just did not want to give up their silver currencies, and America had to put it to them hard to get them to do it.
Oh, wow.
Whereas with gold currencies, that's fairly easy to ruin. You just cause an incentive for all the gold to flee the country, and there it goes. Like a terrible paper money will do it. They get rid of all it. But for some reason with silver, people seem to just they seem to feel more of a conviction of that being worth something. Maybe it's just a perception of mine. I don't know. But to me, it seems like silver is the people's money, whereas gold is kind of the king's money.
Yeah.
So that may not be the best analogy either, but that's probably the best I can do to explain my feelings on the situation.
Well, I think to some extent I would agree with you. I like how gold is definitely the king's money, but there are things out there to make it more easy for me to get gold into my hands. Like, for instance, the gold back. The gold back has a revolutionary note, if you will. It's made of a polymer plastic that has gold embedded into it. And to me, that's really, really amazing that someone came up with this process to put gold in this piece of plastic that I can turn around and give to you, Stu, and maybe buy something from you.
Yeah, gold backs are really cool. As far as holding actual gold coins or, even gold jewelry, it seems too valuable for its weight to be a very safe thing to do, because so like the 10th ounce silver pieces are pretty small enough they'd be pretty easy to lose.
Yeah.
If you had one of those in gold, losing that would cost you a whole lot more.
Oh yeah.
In fact, a 10th ounce of gold would be $500?
Yeah.
So, still not cheap. You know what I mean? And that's why I love the gold backs. They even have them in 1/2 of 1,000th of an ounce denominations now.
Yep. Now they're actually doing a quarter gold back.
They're doing quarter gold backs.
Yeah.
Now, huh? Oh man, that's awesome.
I know.
So
it's crazy.
So that would be $2.50, right? $2.50 for a quote. Except they carry them at they sell them at double spot, right? So I guess that'd be $5. It's probably where they would value it on the Goldback site, which I think is justified. Some people don't think so. Give us a call. The phone number here is 603-283-6160. Let us know if you like gold or silver better. Let us know if you've used the Goldbacks. This is Free Talk Live.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless Crime Spree.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew of the British royal family, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. It relates to his time as trade envoy and the alleged sharing of confidential material with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He has not been charged and has long denied any wrongdoing. FSN's Ollie Barrett has more from London.
What police are further saying is that this is part of an investigation now, they confirm. The reason that is significant is that previously Thames Valley Police had simply said they were assessing claims that had been made to them about the potential of misconduct in a public office. They've now confirmed a formal investigation is underway and an arrest has been made. They say the arrest was made on suspicion of misconduct in public office, and they say they're also carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that President Trump's sweeping tariffs on global trading partners are illegal. In a 6-3 ruling, the court determined that the tariffs didn't have the proper authorization from Congress. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
This ruling is a tremendous blow for the US president and a rare rebuke of his presidential powers. 6 out of the 9 justices saying that they did not believe he had the legal authority to impose tariffs, instead saying that he must have congressional authorization. They said that he had tried to assert extraordinary power to unilaterally impose tariffs of unlimited amount, duration, and scope. He has reacted by calling the ruling a disgrace, but also saying he has a backup plan. It is likely the White House will look for other ways to reimpose these tariffs.
India joined the U.S.-led AI infrastructure initiative called Pax Silica, which is widely seen as a countermeasure to China's dominance over the supply of key materials used in the industry. It came as top U.S. companies pledged to invest billions of dollars in India during an AI Impact Summit. FSN's Ishan Garg has more from New Delhi.
India joined the Pax Silica initiative on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit, ending speculation over whether trade tensions were getting in the way of broader cooperation between Washington and New Delhi. According to the US State Department, Pax Silica is aimed at bringing friendly countries together to reduce what it calls coercive dependencies. The initiative was launched in December last year, with countries including the UK, Australia, South Korea and the UAE as its first few members. With India pitching itself as a key AI power during the AI summit, analysts say the move not only highlights New Delhi's role on a global stage, but also signals thaw in US-India ties.
From Bureaus Worldwide.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Talk radio you control. You can call 603-283-6160 and get on the air with us. As has done this caller from Tucson, Arizona. You're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Actually, I'm in Mesa, but close enough. Yeah, your discussion on goldbacks was right on point. Yeah, I think they're a great idea. I think that support for those will only not only benefit the individual who uses them, but the general society. The more they are becoming, more the money of the exchange unit of choice in the marketplace. So I highly support them. And
Have
besides
you
the
used
fact
any?
they're gorgeous. Yes, we've got some. And now I must admit we haven't really done a whole lot of commerce with them. So that's the next step is to start collecting enough of them so that you can actually start exchanging with them rather than just hanging onto them going, wow, these are really cute.
Yep.
I actually like doing commerce with goldbacks. I sell bread for 1 goldback per loaf, so.
Mm-hmm. I like to.
Oh, that's cool.
I like to offer goldbacks in the case where I'm going to tip. I'll offer. Do you want a goldback or do you want cash?
That's a good thing for you. Go eating in restaurants. You offer them something like that.
Yep. And one thing Jay Noon likes to do is go to farmers markets and give his kids either a goldback or some silver and tell them go ahead and whatever you can convince a vendor to give you for that, go ahead and go for it. And his kids, I guess, have a great time because they have some concept of the difference between the value of dollars and the value of actual money like gold or silver.
Yeah, that's gotta be really fun for them.
Yeah, I've always been tempted to. I know some of these fast food restaurants, like Carl's Jr. Out here on the West Coast. They have these posters that show a menu from the 1950s. Where you can get a hamburger for 25 cents and a cheeseburger for 35 cents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I've often been tempted to take a silver quarter and say, "Yeah, give me the cheeseburger for 25 cents," and see what conversation ensues.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do it. I'd put the dollars in the register and take your silver quarter, and you'd get a cheeseburger if I was working there.
Yeah. That's where people really need to become educated. It's like fuel prices have gotten incredibly cheap. Because they used to be 25 cents a gallon when I was younger, and gasoline, denominated in silver, especially the price it's gotten to lately.
Yeah.
It's really cheap now.
Yep. I haven't looked it up for a minute, what the value of a silver quarter is.
It's over $70 an ounce is the spot price. So you figure, okay, so you divide that by 4 and then you take 90% off of that. And that would be the actual silver in the quarter, from my understanding.
Mm-hmm. So if it's somewhere around $7-ish in melt value, then it's, with the premium on that, it's got to have it around $10.
Yeah,
easily worth a cheeseburger.
Yeah, well, I'm saying is that $10. How many gallons of gasoline will that buy you today? Out here in Arizona, about 3.
Yep. Yeah.
That used to cost only you could only get 1 gallon for a quarter back in the 1960s. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Things have gotten cheaper. It's just we haven't noticed because we've been being robbed all of our lives.
Well, that's the problem with inflation is people don't think about how much it robs them until they're at the grocery store or even then they just look at the price of goods going up and say, oh, well, it's just greedy people doing greedy things.
Yeah, well, I always like to explain it with a little thing of saying, well, suppose you went into the grocery store and you picked up a half a gallon of milk and the container looked suspiciously small. And you went, wait a minute, it says half a gallon. I'm sure I believe him. You walk up to the counter and you go, hey, what's the deal with this? It doesn't look right. oh, well, the gallons are smaller this month. You know? I mean, you'd instantly understand the fraud, right?
Yeah, it's not really a gallon.
The word dollar is actually still defined in the United States Code as a certain amount of standard silver. I think it's 250 so grains, whatever a grain is. Okay, but it you know, the word dollar is a unit of measure. Okay, like inch or pound or gallon. Okay,
Yeah, it used
a dollar's
to basically
worth
mean
is
an ounce of silver, yeah.
yeah. So.
Especially toward the like back in the colonial days, that usually meant Spanish silver.
Right, because that's what they could get, you know, or the dollar, I guess there was a gold dollar that was cut into 8 pieces because, you know, you wanted to make change, right? You didn't need to spend it all at once. That's where the term pieces of 8 came from what I understand.
Yep, I think that's right.
So, well, I appreciate you guys holding the line on the air, and you know, wishing that more people were getting on board with the truth. But I appreciate you guys.
Of course.
Yeah.
Hanging in there.
Yeah, we do our best.
Yep. Is that all you had for us tonight?
Yeah, I just, you know, you were talking about you know, other politics and stuff, and the problem with dealing with, you know, so many people are distracted by national, you know, stuff that they have absolutely no influence over whatsoever, and they get there all upset about this and you know, concerned about that and anxious about the other. And I mean, yes, it can affect them, but they have no influence over it. And yet there are things in their life that they have a tremendous influence over, like how their families treat them, you know, how other people treat them, how they treat their kids, you know, that stuff, you know, it has a tremendous potential for creating a much more healthy society. And yet so many people, you know, walk through life without paying the slightest bit of attention to that, and then have all their attention on, you know, who's president, or, you know, all these celebrities, and, you know, the prince of, you know, in England is now being arrested. Oh, isn't that exciting? You know, well, okay, but yeah. What's happening in your life that you could improve? You know?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's always the challenge.
It's easier to look at others and their lives instead of looking at ourselves and being like, well, what can I improve in my life to make myself a better human being? You know, I'm struggling with this thing myself, and I'm turning 40 this year, so, you know, I better get a move on and define the rest of my life. Otherwise, I'm going to be, you know, aimlessly wandering everywhere.
Yeah, well, when you hit 70, it becomes even more interesting. Although I do have a lot of things that I've accomplished. I still have all those YouTube videos that I put on that I was doing for Pork Fest and the Free State Project back in the from 2010 to 2014, or so was it 20? I guess the last time we were there was 2016. Anyway. But Red Pill Recording on YouTube. I recorded a whole bunch of stuff up there.
Nice.
Very cool.
Anyway, I will let you go for today, and you have a live show tomorrow?
We do.
Yep.
Great. All right. Maybe I'll bend your ear about the income tax.
That'll be fun.
Sounds good. Please do. Thanks for the call. Yeah, I was looking at the so, like, for instance, the American Silver Eagle is still manufactured in the U.S. Mint. They started in 1986, and it still says $1 face value.
Yeah.
It's an ounce of silver. I think 999 silver. Yep. And it's so you can buy one from the U.S. Mint right now for $169.
Oh, wow.
I wonder why the price difference there. You can buy them from JM Bullion for around $100.
I don't know why the price difference, but I'd rather go with JM Bullion.
Oh, absolutely.
I bought some silver from JM Bullion for a few years, and I think they're a reputable company.
From what I've heard, Costco sometimes sells tubes of 20 silver eagles at a discount price.
Nice.
I've never taken advantage of that, but that's a thing I've heard.
Is there a Costco nearby?
I think there's one in like Nashua or Manchester.
Okay.
Anyways, there you go. Silver's pretty cool. They still make it 1 ounce and call it $1.
That is pretty strange.
When they sell it for $169.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool.
The fun thing about life is that it throws surprises at you. The silver market has gone up. I guess I'd hoped to make some money off of silver a few years ago. During the COVID pandemic, we thought the world was coming to an end, and silver is going to explode in price or value or whatever, but that didn't materialize. 2026 rolls around, silver explodes to over $120 an ounce, collapses down to like $70 an ounce. Last I looked today, it was around 85, 30, something like that. So precious metals are, worth an investment if you want to make a little money off of it. My attitude is don't hold on to silver thinking you're going to make money off of it. Hold on to it to preserve your wealth that you make. Yep. And if you have kids and grandkids, pass it on to them. So
that's the way I look at it too.
Yeah.
It's a windfall, and if it happens to be around and I never needed it, then the kids get it.
Yeah.
So, it's it's definitely an easier thing to save in too than dollars, because you can't pay your bills in silver. You can't. Most restaurants won't take it. Most gas stations aren't going to take it.
Yeah.
So by that metric, it's easier to hold on to than it is to use as money. But the windfall is that one day that might change and U.S. dollars will be worthless. And if you want to trade anything, you better have some silver or something useful. I kind of like Bic lighters as a backup hodl for for a things collapse type of situation.
I hear a lot of people say that things are going to collapse. I've been hearing that most of my life listening to talk radio, but I don't know. I guess I'm more doubtful that things are going to collapse and that they're going to morph and I'm more, I guess I believe more that they're going to change in such a way that our world will not make sense. So I feel like it's collapsing. Maybe there will be a collapse. I don't know. I know past civilizations have gone through a collapse, but maybe things will be different for us.
Yeah, collapses can look different too. Your money can collapse and your civilization holds.
Sure.
Different things can collapse. I think mostly that's what we talk about, though, when we talk about things falling apart, is like the U.S. dollar losing all of its value, going to absolute zero. That would create serious waves throughout the.
Oh, it would. I don't think that's ever going to happen, though. If I'm being honest, I don't think that'll ever happen unless there's something really severe and all the countries are like, no, we don't want to put faith in your stupid paper anymore. See ya.
Yeah. Yeah, to me it seems like the, I don't know, maybe it could go to zero, but it really is up to the bankers. They could stretch it out as long as they want to.
Yeah.
They could just, they could even admit that, oh no, the U.S. dollar has failed, but don't worry, just turn in your dollars and we'll reimburse you in the CBDC that's totally worth a lot, we promise.
Yep, it's programmable.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be able to root out the criminals much easier this time.
Mm-hmm.
No one will be able to defraud anybody.
Yep, and instead of, backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government, it would be backed by the full faith and credit of the United Nations or the, Global Council or the, Bank of International Settlements or whatever whatever
it's going to be the global bank
wants it, as long as they can get you to feel warm and fuzzy about it and to start using it, they're happy.
Yep.
I don't know if we got enough time to get all the way through this one, but seems interesting to me, so let's take a crack at it. This is Grooming the Gulf, how Epstein forged Emirati elites into tools for Israel. This says, in the last 48 hours, the U.S. Department of Justice has begun dumping what officials say amounts to more than 30 million pages of material tied to Jeffrey Epstein, an archive so vast it includes thousands of videos and hundreds of thousands of images. The tranche is only a fraction of what exists. Officials acknowledge that millions of additional documents remain under review, meaning the public has seen just a sliver of the government's total Epstein archive. What is being unloaded into the public domain is not just evidence of private depravity. It is an inadvertent blueprint of how power really works when no one is supposed to be watching. An industrial-scale influence machine whose files casually braid together billionaires, cabinet-level officials, and strategic infrastructure from New York to the Horn of Africa. And even now the public is being allowed to see only what officials deem manageable, with redactions still shielding some of the most sensitive names and millions of pages kept out of sight. Hidden within those documents, leaked screenshots and email excerpts now circulating online are connections that stretch far beyond Manhattan, Palm Beach, or even Paris. They reach deep into the Persian Gulf, into Dubai's executive suites, and into the personal inboxes of officials in the United Arab Emirates. These emails offer a unique glimpse behind the opulent shadows of Dubai's towers, where untraceable billions flow like oil. In that world, a convicted pedophile whispers ministerial appointments to a UAE diplomat while discussing port deals that could move cargo and secrets across continents. According to persistent intelligence-linked information surrounding his operations, Jeffrey Epstein was not acting alone or merely chasing thrills. He was allegedly operating as a geopolitical asset, cultivating leverage over Gulf elites, with places like Somaliland emerging as potential pawns in a larger strategic game. It is in such an environment that figures like Epstein thrive best because their private perversions double as statecraft. Emails unearthed from the DOJ Epstein Library reveal troubling facts about Jeffrey Epstein's exchanges with Hindi Al-Awais, a young, ambitious Emirati woman navigating the opulent halls of UAE diplomacy. With her polished LinkedIn profile and lofty titles, she appears at first glance to be a symbol of progress. As director of the UAE's Permanent Committee for Human Rights and a UN advisor since 2015, she has publicly championed women's empowerment, declaring it both a moral and strategic imperative. On paper, Hind Al-Awais is the face of a modern UAE, a diplomat, UN advisor, and later a senior human rights official fronting panels on women's rights and regional mechanisms. In press releases, she speaks of dignity and gender equality while chairing events under the banner of the Permanent Committee for Human Rights in Abu Dhabi. In the emails, the tone is very different. The same woman who would later open high-level human rights dialogues is trading easy banter with a convicted sex offender, eagerly accepting his career advice and bringing family into his orbit. The contrast is not just personal hypocrisy. It looks like the textbook use of a polished, progressive female diplomat as a shield for an authoritarian system willing to outsource leverage work to a man like Epstein while selling the world a satirized narrative at the UN. The correspondence begins in 2011 during Epstein's post-prison resurgence. Al-Awais, then a rising figure in UAE foreign affairs, began emailing the financier. Their communications suggest the exchanges were part of a broader effort to compromise UAE elites for Israeli leverage. Numerous emails linked to Hind Al-Awais and Jeffrey Epstein from January 2012 are currently the subject of extensive scrutiny, prompting unsettling questions regarding the nature of their relationship. One email states, "Getting one girl ready is difficult enough. Two girls you can certainly call a challenge." Another conversation is said to mention introducing her sister to Epstein. In one message, Epstein positioned her as a future UAE Minister of Culture, declaring there would be no competition. One email from January 26, 2012 stands out. Al-Awais expresses excitement about introducing her sister Hala, allegedly just 13 at the time, to Epstein, a man infamous for preying on underage girls. Epstein's reply is suggestive, promising more time with both. Another message jokes about the challenge of preparing two girls. Critics online have seized on these exchanges, arguing that Al Owais is not just a passive contact, but an active facilitator, a kind of soft power handler who normalized Epstein's access to young Emirati women.
So it sounds like Epstein wasn't just going after white girls, he was going after everybody.
Right, but well, anybody, but in this case, it doubled as statecraft manipulation, particularly on behalf of Israel.
It doesn't surprise me.
The DOJ emails that have surfaced so far do not explicitly spell out sexual transactions or list ages, which conveniently allows defenders to hide behind literalism. But in the real world, context matters. A senior diplomat working in New York repeatedly arranging access for girls to a man already notorious for abusing minors is not a neutral act. It is complicity dressed up as networking. Online backlash was immediate. Critics claimed Al Owais worked as a procurer supplying minors, including her own sister, to Epstein. Viral posts branded her as a pimp and Satan worshiper, drawing thousands of retweets amid outrage over her UN role. Although no direct proof of underage involvement appears in the emails themselves, it can be argued that the pattern fits Epstein's methods, which rest on compromising officials feeding a machine designed not only for pleasure but for leverage. Emails from 2017 show him lobbying against Qatar, accusing Doha of terrorism financing in line with UAE-Israel strategies, underscoring that his communications with Gulf elites were deeply political, not merely social. Photos circulating online show Al Owais beside Epstein, her diplomatic poise clashing with his predatory grin. Critics highlight the contradiction. How can someone linked to Epstein lead human rights initiatives in a country notorious for the kafala system? The kafala regime has long been described by rights groups as a system of modern servitude, binding migrant workers to employers in conditions ripe for abuse. Placing an Epstein-linked diplomat at the helm of human rights in such a state is less reform than reputation laundering. Adding another layer, discussions online claim Ghislaine Maxwell received girls supplied through the same network. Ex-spy Ari Ben Manash alleges the pair ran Mossad honey traps together, building on older reports that Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, had served as a Mossad agent. Asset. These accounts are contested and not fully documented, but the emerging patterns in the Epstein UAE files sit uncomfortably close to what one would expect from an intelligence-linked compromat operation targeting Gulf elites. Even as those revelations spread across social media, Abu Dhabi appears to have kept Al Owais anchored in its human rights machinery, letting her continue to front events and initiatives in the UAE's name. The message is unmistakable. Whatever passed between her and Epstein does not disqualify her from helping launder the regime's image on the international stage. I think that illustrates pretty well what I was saying about the Epstein thing being compromat, and it runs the world.
It definitely does.
All right, this has been Free Talk Live. Thanks for listening. There will be more tonight. Give us a call. Peace.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Rising fees have made Bitcoin useless for purchases, but Dash continues to have fees less than 1 cent per transaction, and its features ensure Dash is undefeated as the most useful cryptocurrency in the marketplace. From a technical standpoint, Dash transactions are irreversible, and its network is protected from 51% attacks by their Chainlocks technology. There's no need to wait for a confirmation before considering a Dash transaction complete, so it's great for merchants. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at dash.org. Big thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
Eleutheromania, the insatiable desire for freedom. It's the new 3-song heavy metal EP from Captain Kickass. Available now on your favorite music app or get it directly from CaptainKickass.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Coming up next after the news, Hour 1 of the latest episode of Free Talk Live here at listen.freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly known as Prince Andrew of the British royal family, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. It relates to his time as trade envoy and the alleged sharing of confidential material with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He has not been charged and has long denied any wrongdoing. FSN's Ollie Barrett has more from London.
What police are further saying is that this is part of an investigation now, they confirm. The reason that is significant is that previously Thames Valley Police had simply said they were assessing claims that had been made to them about the potential of misconduct in a public office. They've now confirmed a formal investigation is underway and an arrest has been made. They say the arrest was made on suspicion of misconduct in public office, and they say they're also carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that President Trump's sweeping tariffs on global trading partners are illegal. In a 6-3 ruling, the court determined that the tariffs didn't have the proper authorization from Congress. FSN's Nick Harper has more from Washington.
This ruling is a tremendous blow for the US president and a rare rebuke of his presidential powers. 6 out of the 9 justices saying that they did not believe he had the legal authority to impose tariffs, instead saying that he must have congressional authorization to exercise this power. They said that he had tried to assert extraordinary power to unilaterally impose tariffs of unlimited amount, duration, and scope. He has reacted by calling the ruling a disgrace, but also saying he has a backup plan. It is likely the White House will look for other ways to reimpose these tariffs using other means.
India joined the U.S.-led AI infrastructure initiative called Pax Silica, which is widely seen as a countermeasure to China's dominance over the supply of key materials used in the industry. It came as top U.S. companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google pledged to invest billions of dollars in India during an AI Impact Summit. FSN's Ishan Garg has more from New Delhi.
India joined the Pax Silica initiative on the sidelines of the AI Impact Summit, ending speculation over whether trade tensions were getting in the way of broader cooperation between Washington and New Delhi. According to the U.S. State Department, Pax Silica is aimed at bringing friendly countries together to reduce what it calls coercive dependencies. The initiative was launched in December last year with countries including the UK, Australia, South Korea and the UAE as its first few members. With India pitching itself as a key AI power during the AI summit, analysts say the move not only highlights New Delhi's role on a global stage, but also signals thaw in US-India ties. Ishan Garg, New Delhi.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN. 11 people were arrested in France over the recent killing of a far-right activist. Quentin Duronc died after sustaining a severe brain injury when he was attacked on the sidelines of a far-right protest against a left-wing politician speaking in the city of Lyon. FSN's Ross Cullen reports from Paris.
The 23-year-old was part of a group providing security for nationalist activists who were demonstrating against the leftist gathering at a university in France's third biggest city of Lyon. Video footage of the attack on the 12th of February shows a group of people setting upon Quentin Duronc, who's kicked multiple times before being left lying on the sidewalk while those involved in the attack fled on foot. The incident has fueled tension between France's far right and hard left ahead of local elections in March and next year's presidential race, in which the Nationalist Party is currently leading the polls. Ross Cullen, Paris.
U.S. civil rights icon, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, died at the age of 84. He was one of America's most influential black figures and twice ran for president. FSN's Tony Waterman has more.
He was this towering figure. He was a protege of Martin Luther King Jr. He was there when King was assassinated in 1968. He was, in fact, very close to him when that happened, physically, just a couple of feet away. But he is really seen as carrying on the fight for Black Americans. He transformed American politics, particularly the Democratic Party, by empowering these marginalized communities through his coalition, getting millions and millions of Black, Latino, and Asian Americans to register to vote and completely reshaping the face of the Democratic Party.
Those were some of the week's top stories. Ira Spitzer.
It's the story that's stunning the tech world. Despite his age, 6-year-old data entry prodigy Jeffrey Peters is already entertaining offers from dozens of major temp agencies. Experts say Jeffrey's abilities to sit still and perform mind-numbing tasks in Excel and Word for hours on end rank with a freelance worker 3 times his age. But Jeffrey's mom says that she knew he was special from early on.
I've always thought that Jeffrey was different from the other kids. He started wearing glasses for computer strain when he was just 3.5, and he already has some pretty significant tendinitis.
I've always wanted to work at Maverick Recruiting.
The data entry whiz is at the center of a bidding war between industry titans like Workforce Solutions and Metropolitan Staffing, both offering lavish perks like starting salaries of up to $15,000 and a cramped cubicle shared with only 2 other temps. Jeffrey's parents say that given the generous offers he's already received, he could be well on the way to affording a dingy rundown apartment of his own.
This is the Onion News Network.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.